And through 6 periods, I feel pretty good saying that the Predators have looked pretty darn good in 5 out of the 6 of those periods.
Yes, other than the only thing I would take issue with would be in the third period, the management staying out of the penalty box in Tampa. Mm-hmm. You have to be better there. If you do that in a lot of games, you're going to put yourself in trouble regardless of who you're playing, but especially against Tampa, who really made them pay for doing that. But I think generally speaking, 5-on-5 in particular, the first period in Tampa was really rough, but you can see what they're trying to do. Mm-hmm. It is very eye-popping, noticeable. I think even for probably a casual fan that has watched over and over, you can see them trying to really stretch the ice, push the puck up, hit the guy ahead of you. You know, it sounds so simple to do, and there are more than one way to win. There's more than one way to win in the league. So I'm not saying the way that they used to play had no chance of winning. Anybody, there's a handful of ways to play, and if you play it well, you'll be successful, especially if you have the right players to play that way.
Right.
But it was kind of fun to just watch what Andrew Brunette has been saying from the start. We want to play north and south. We want to stretch the ice. We want to put the defense back on their heels. It worked last night. And Hal made the point in our 3-man booth. He said, you know, the Boston Bruins, the next opponent, and really everybody else around the league is going to watch.
The big, bad Boston Bruins.
Yeah, they're going to be watching this film and say, wow, the Predators look different. They're playing different. Whatever we used to scout them before, we got to change because this is a new deal.
What do you think was the most, because I'm with you, just watching this team, it does feel different. It feels faster. It feels more upbeat. It feels more energetic. But what is it, do you think, that really stood out to you to say, okay, this is a different team?
I think the execution of what they were trying to do has hit another level. And Andrew Brunette is saying, look, it's still a work in progress. There's still a lot of things we can get better at. This is I would hope you would say that with 80 games to go. Like, okay, we got it. This is the best we can play.
It looks different, but we also know that 40 games down the line, it's going to look even more different.
Sure.
50, 60, so on and so forth.
For example, that young line that we think is going to be really exciting to watch. They're going to have ups and downs.
Evangelisto?
There you go, Evangelisto. They were not as much of a factor last night. They flickered here and there. Evangelista had a great chance on a fantastic pass by Dante Fabro, who played great last night, and he got robbed by the goalie there. But, in that shift in, shift out, they didn't have as much of a presence as I think they're going to over time. But the other lines really were good. They were connecting on those outlet passes. We mentioned that Roman Josi had a little bit of a struggle in the first game. I thought he was much more comfortable last night. Obviously, that's the key, having him get in the groove and be the superstar that he is. Dante Fabro mixed in perfect with him. He played a really good game. So the pairs, I think, shook out. The 3 defense pairs, all 3 were solid. So now they go in the Boston. It could look completely different tomorrow. We know how tough Boston is. But I think they've got a belief that the formula that they're putting out there can be effective. Andrew Brunette mentioned buy-in more than once in the post-game press conference that we had here on 102.5, if you were listening. So the buy-in by everybody, I think, is an encouraging sign.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, I think, what you want to see early on. And one thing, the Predators organization hasn't gone through this too frequently with changing coaches and changing systems, is reminding ourselves that it does take time. That when you're changing the philosophy, that you're not going to see that a complete 180 day one. But like we mentioned yesterday, picking up on some breadcrumbs as we go along the season. And a couple things that you mentioned. One, Dante Fabro, one guy that admittedly I didn't expect anything from. I thought he'd been, for the most part, underwhelming. This young dynamo that was supposed to be, the thing.
Right, first-round pick
really
that basically came right into the league.
Ascended to that, yeah. Right, exactly. It never really reached that level. So I'm thinking, okay, Dante Fabro, I cannot count on you. It's nice to see contribution from a guy like that. And I want to see it more, and I want to see more consistency, but encouraging to see that at least early on. And then the Evangelisto line, we said that yesterday with some of the young guys of there's going to be nights where they look great. There's going to be nights where they struggle, and there's going to be nights where you probably don't even really notice them. But that's okay, because they're the young guys that are getting that valuable experience. And they're the priority this season of just getting the experience and building them up for the future and kind of letting the cream rise to the top of these young guys that will be the future core and the young guys that may just be supplementary players or not even part of this team 5-10 years down the line.
Yes, and when those guys maybe aren't on their A game, can others pick up the slack? And last night, I think another thing, if you're watching and you're saying, okay, what's different about this team? Why did they do what they did? If you watch Ryan O'Reilly, I thought Hal and Mace did a really good job on our broadcast pointing out some of the little things that he does that are hard to notice, right? They're not spectacular goals or highlights that are going to, hit the highlight shows at the end of the night, which it's always fun to come back and watch, especially if your team wins. You're like, hey, let's go watch how the guys did it. Some of his plays aren't in there, but on, say, the 6-on-5 goal that Gus Nyquist scored, it was a lucky goal, right? But it was a result
of the defender's skate goal.
Yeah, hit off the defender's skate. But it was a result of a really good shift where they draw the penalty, they get the extra guy on there, they're wearing down the defense, they're getting tired. And there's a couple times where the Kraken are just trying to get it out of the zone so they can get fresh players on there and get to the power play, right? O'Reilly makes a great diving play. He dives on the ice, and he taps the puck out to his man so they can keep the pressure on and keep trapping the Kraken in there and make them more tired. Little puck battles along the boards, where he just flips the guy's stick up, grabs it. There are so many little things he's doing. And this is no knock at the guys that he replaced in that role, but it's a completely different way of winning hockey, right? He's doing it differently. And so, for example, guys he's playing with, Juuso Parssinen, playing really well. Philip Forsberg looks like he's on a mission right now. Hard to stop at this point, even though, he doesn't have 5 goals in the first 2 games. But when you watch him, he's driving the play. So these are good signs.
Chris Anders just texted me. I saw a picture of D-Mase in London, and he had skinny jeans on.
Is he telling the truth?
I don't think so.
Skinny jeans?
A European D-Mase and skinny jeans in London.
Chris Sanders has accused Derek Mason of wearing skinny jeans. He's also accused of wearing the bike coaches shorts from the 80s, which if you're my age, that's a no-no. That's a no-go. The
like
snaps,
the short, itty-bitty
very
little...
short, polyester, very tight, very short, and
Don't
have
look
snaps.
comfortable.
They have snaps.
Thank you, Chris Sanders.
But I can picture my junior high coaches. They all wore them, and they had the hat with the mesh in the back and the foam
the trucker hat
thing on the forehead.
In the 80s now has become like girls in their 20s athleisure fashion. It's trends come around. It just might have different faces and different
looks.
looks.
Amazing how these things cycle back around. I'm still waiting for the bike coach shorts though to come back. I'm not sure that's happening.
I hope that they don't, for everyone's sake. Like low-rise jeans, I hope for everyone's sake that they don't come back around. But breaking down, the Predators win last night 3-0 at home against the Kraken. UC Saros, first shutout of the season in Game 2, and you're going to take that. Hey, pretty quick start for UC Saros there. But what I wanted to break down and get your thoughts on was an article written by Joe Rexrode in The Athletic, breaking down kind of the vision that Barry Trotz has for this team and UC Saros' involvement in that vision. And Joe talked to Barry Trotz, and Barry Trotz said, hey, UC Saros wants to be here, and I want guys that want to be here. And that was a big point of discussion last season of buy or sell or stay put at the trade deadline. And where does UC Saros kind of fit into that? You've got Askarov, this young phenom, this, star prospect that you think is going to, come up and be just one of the next great Predator goalies. So at what point do you shift toward the young guy? At what point do you take advantage of UC Saros in his age and the amount of money that he's making now, only $5 million a year, which, it feels like chump change for the return that you're getting from UC Saros.
It's one of the best bargains in hockey.
Absolutely.
There's no question about it. And the minute he signed that contract, I think we all felt like, hey, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. For the Predators, at least.
Yeah.
And now looking ahead when his contract comes up at the end of this season of what do? A UC Saros who is getting older but still playing at a very high level. And now the going rate for a goaltender at his level is around $8.5 million. The Connor Hellebuyck contract that
Hellebuck just
kind
signed
of set the standard.
for 8.5. Yeah.
They kind of set the standard. And one thing that Joe Rexrode does point out is Hellebuck has won a Vezina. UC Saros has not won a Vezina. But still,
Should've.
the value of UC Saros would be right up there with the Hellebucks of the world.
No question.
So what Joe kind of highlighted in his discussion with Barry Trotz was it doesn't sound like he has any intention of trading UC Saros. That his vision for the future is Saros and Askarov is like Pekka and UC Saros, where Pekka is your guy, and then you have a young guy learning from him, and he eventually takes over the reins. But the difference in that is UC Saros was a fourth-round pick that just so happened to blossom into one of the most elite goaltenders in the league. Askarov, first-round pick, and is a star prospect. So do you have the time to let him sit as long as UC Saros sat? At what point do you need to pivot toward the young guy, save yourself some dollars and cents, and maybe get a good return for UC Saros? It's a tough conundrum.
I think it is. I've said my thought on it, and this is dating back to last year at the trade deadline when you were hearing this.
Yeah.
To me, when you have one of the best, and I think Saros is one of the best, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon, he's actually younger than Hellebuck by a couple of years. So, and when you look at Juice's makeup, his work ethic, and you ask yourself, is that a guy I want to invest in? Then the answer is yes. So when in all of that other stuff with Askarov and how well Lankinen's playing, but particularly Askarov and his future and him being a first-round pick and the guy that they jumped out to grab in the first round, because goalies sometimes fall in the draft, right? So because goalies like Pecorino was an 8th-round pick. As you mentioned, Saros a 4th-round pick. There's a lot of goalies that were not first-round picks that end up being the best goalies.
Right.
To me, the bird in hand, if you told me right now that Hellebuck is signed for 8.5 and the cap is going up the way it is, I would take UC Saros in that neighborhood of 8.5 and say, deal. I'm willing to invest that in him. I think he's the guy that you can win with, just because you know everything about him. He is a known quantity, and I think you're going to get that for the next bunch of years. What to do with Askarov after that becomes the question. And we did hear his name floating around at the draft, right? And I don't know how true that was, but I think we got a pretty good sense that if you wanted to get something huge in return, Askarov could have been in the discussion, right? That's fair to say, right? How deep it got, all that, I don't know.
And that was widely reported.
Widely reported by the big time,
reputable sources.
Yes, the big time sources. So that's how I feel about it. Others might say, "Hey, let's get a huge load, of prospects back for Saros." To me, you would have to blow me away, before I even considered that. I'm of the when you have the great quarterback, you don't trade the great quarterback, and that's, to me, the equivalent is a goalie like Saros. That's just how I think about it.
And the conversation feels very different now than it did around the trade deadline, January, February of last year, because we didn't know what the Predators were going to do. That maybe the idea of trading Saros felt one way or another at that time last year, that it now feels a little bit different now that the organization has pivoted and they want to look toward the young guys. But it is difficult, and it's not something you have to make your mind up about right now. I mean, you got 5-6 months until the trade deadline. You can, and Barry Trotz said he's going to have discussions with UC Saros' agent.
And he's under contract, and he's not a free agent at the end of the year. He has got a whole nother year.
Oh, is it 2 more years? Okay, that's on me. I thought it was only 1 more year. Okay, so 2 more years under $5 million.
Yeah, this year and next year.
Okay. So it's.
But I think when you're thinking about trading him, his value would be high because he's not a rental. Him on
another
right?
Year.
The team trading for him is saying, I'm getting a Vezina level goalie for $5 million for the rest of this year and all of next year. That's maybe a team that would trade more to get that.
Right.
Whereas, next year, if you tried to do that and he's just a rental, maybe you don't get as much in return if you do that.
And one thing that Joe Rexrode wrote, and it's a great column on The Athletic, one thing that he wrote was, keep in mind that this is a general manager speaking to a reporter that knows that this is going to be put out there to the public, that maybe he's downplaying the urgency of what they want to do with UC Saros, because if you say, hey, we're not trading him, the value goes up and up. The potential return that you might get. If you say, yep, we're going to trade him, then why would any other team in the league feel the need to sweeten the pot a little bit? Because they're like, well, you want to get rid of him, so we'll give you what we feel like we want to give you for him. So always take that with a grain of salt. And again, you don't need to make your mind up about it right now. You can let the season unfold. You can have those discussions with his agent about exactly what number he's looking at. But it is going to be a topic of conversation, I think, throughout the season.
It is, and I believe, if I've got this right, he's got another year left, so you can't extend him until July, or when he's got exactly 1 year left on the contract. So you're just sort of setting the table of what it would be when that day comes. But so they have time. They have time.
Mm-hmm. Predators win the home opener last night, and Bridgestone Arena was rocking. So let's get some of your thoughts on it. 615-737-1025. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ryan in Mount Juliet is on the line with a thought on the Predators win last night. What's up, Ryan?
So, Willy, I know you're not going to like this comment, but I've said it last year. If you look at the way the team played last night, you look at the way things went last night, you look at the crowd, it's amazing what happens when the Preds get a new coach that knows what he's doing to help these kids play. He lets these kids run up and down the ice like how the style game should be, like Evangelista, like Parson, and let them use their speed, play with the puck, use their skill. He didn't hold them back. He didn't say, hey, guys, we're winning 2-0. Let's just dump the puck in and play defense and then rely on you to win us the game. They didn't do that last night. That's how they lost multiple games last year. And that's why this year is going to be a fun season with a coach that's going to let these kids and these players play their game at a fast pace.
Thanks for your call, Ryan.
Well, let's let it play out, but it definitely worked really well last night. I also think that, too, the different makeup of the players, too. The new veterans are in there. They have part of what they have a lot to do with, the buy-in, all of this stuff as well. So I will say this. It is fun to watch. It is fun when
watch.
It is fast, and the fans love that. And I would imagine as a player, that's fun to play in, right? That's when you're saying let's go. I mean that's got to be exciting when you're in the locker room and you're coming out and being aggressive like that. Now, I would imagine there's going to be some nights where it doesn't look great, but do you look forward to playing in a system like that? Do the fans pick up energy from that style? Yeah, I think probably so.
It's refreshing to see. And look, the new shiny toy is always going to be better than whatever you had early on. But I will say that it's at certain points in the season last year and even the year before, it was tough to watch.
Yeah, okay, for example, I saw a stat that we had last night that we'll probably use. Last year, they won, I think, 8 games, 2-1. So UC Saros had to be lights
Superman.
out, or Kevin Lankinen had
Superman.
to be. Yeah, and Kevin Lankinen had a great year. He had a couple of those 2-1s. But the Predators only scored 3 or more 40 times, so less than half of the games. And that was 6th or 7th lowest in the league. And the other teams in that batch of teams were the teams that were tanking and not anywhere close to the playoffs. So the Predators were maximizing every goal that they scored last year. So they've scored 3 in each of the 2 games right now. So the key is, can they still play the kind of defense they need to play to win the majority of the games? And can they continue this pace to be able to score a little easier than they did? It remains to be seen, but so far so good.
We've been called garbage for talking about trades 2 games into the season.
Hey, Joe, Joe wrote it.
Joe started it. Joe started it.
I'm not talking about trades. But look, we know this is going to come up eventually. But of what to do and this is a good problem.
It's a
You
great
have one of the
problem to
best goalies in the world, and you have one of the best goalie prospects in the world. That's good.
That's a good problem to have. Willie, safe travels to Boston.
All right. Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too. It's going to be a great game at the Garden.
Hey, we got a right-hander in the bullpen. We got Junie Riddle in the bullpen with Mason out of town. Donnick's about to be out of town. Junie's warming up. He's
Junie
warming up.
Riddle hopping in.
We're giving him the hat We got the signal. He's ready. Bring him in.
All right, Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase is brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Green right, box 2 run, double catch.
He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Wide 85, take!
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, time to tell you about F&M Bank, and we will take it to the bank a little bit later in the show. They help you in a number of different ways. I want to talk about the business owners out there. Owning your own business is like having another member of your family. Success takes time, requires money, attention. You need those right tools to get the job done. F&M Bank will do that for you and your business. They'll treat your business like family. No matter your business goals, you'll reach them easier when you have a banking relationship that supports you, tools to conveniently manage your money coming in and going out, and the expertise to make your business better. Bank your business at F&M Bank. Find the nearest location to you. There are 20 in our listening area: Midtown Nashville, downtown Franklin, 6 in Clarksville. Just go to myfmbank.com and find the nearest location to you. It's F&M Bank. Banking made easier on purpose. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
It's football season, and with a game every week, there's no better time to make the switch to Zen Sports. When you sign up to Zen Sports with code D-Mason, that's D-M-A-S-O-N, you will earn a welcome bonus that gives you 5% cash back on your total betting volume for your first 15 days of betting. Download today on the App Store or at zensports.com. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
Hi, this is Rudy Gatlin of the Gatlin Brothers. Larry, Steve, and I would like to invite you to join us for the second annual Blood Assurance Celebrity Golf Tournament Monday, October 23rd at the beautiful Hermitage Golf Course. All proceeds benefit local high schools through the Blood Assurance Heroes Grant Fund. There are going to be a lot of great prizes, but one lucky player will win a trip for 2 to play golf in Ireland. To sign up and for more information, go to bloodassurance.org/celebrity-golf. Come on and join us.
Art, sound, and sensory overload. Tool 2024 North American Tour. January 23rd, Bridgestone Arena. With special guest, Elder. Experience the sound and vision of Tool. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Tool in concert.
The Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce invites you to join us for a sneak peek at the latest artificial intelligence and machine learning advancements at Annual Celebration 2023. Collaboration in the Age of AI, presented by PNC Bank and Tanger Outlets at Renaissance Hotel Nashville from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. Tuesday, October 24th. Network, participate in interactive demonstrations, and hear thought-provoking discussion about the future of work in the Nashville region with speakers like Sam Davidson, Dr. Robbie Melton, Brad Smith, and more. Don't miss this event. Get tickets now at celebrate.nashvillechamber.com. 102.5 The Game is proud to support our advertising partner, Pella Window and Doors of Nashville, on their charitable efforts for breast cancer in action. Tune in Monday for the Chase and Big Joe Show, along with Jared Stillman, live at the Pella Windows and Doors Customer Appreciation Golf Tournament.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and Georgia from First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Coverage starts at 9:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lebitard. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
But he can't. He's not good enough to be the hero.
You're saying he just isn't that good to begin with.
He's not a starter in this league. He's not.
You're saying he never has been.
And he's never had. He never has been. He's never been a starter in this league. He has benefited from that defensive front. When they're playing good, it makes your job a little bit easier. But even with that, he still would get exposed. You know, Vrabel basically called him an habitual injury guy, but still kept him as your starter. You didn't do anything other than going to get Button.
Bunting.
Sean
Bunting,
Bunting.
yeah, Bunting, not Bunting.
Benjamin
Bunting.
Bunting.
Button. You went out and got Bunting, and that wasn't an upgrade. I don't know. I think Bunting's a good player, but again, is he a starter in this league, like a consistent starter? So
he was the sort of budget guy that was out there that didn't cost you too much.
This is probably
I think they're getting what they hoped they would get.
This is what we're running into. That's why I say Fulton is not his problem anymore. It's not. All of this falls on the lap of Mike Vrabel.
Spicy take there from Derek Mason earlier this week. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, Junior Riddle hopping in for Willy Donick. Willy on his way to Boston, D-Mase in London. And we're the lucky ones that get to be here. Happy to have you around.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. The whole Christian Fulton thing, I think this is one of the most fascinating storylines when it comes to this Titans team.
Why?
Because it's like, D-Mase is right. You know, he's had some moments where it's like, dude, what are you doing? It's not even been this year. And it's been such a highlight this season because of how frequent it's been on the road. But for a guy that's had like some high highs, like he's had some really good games against good receivers. Mm-hmm. But then the next week he'll be like getting burned downfield and making a mistake. So it's just like, what are you actually getting with Christian Fulton? Because we've seen good stuff at him. He had a really good training camp this year. I had high expectations. He was actually my X-Factor player going into this year, and he's been a huge disappointment.
So I can't go as far as D-Mase went to say that he's not a starting corner in this league, because I think that he has the talent and I think that he has the ability to be a starting cornerback in this league. I can't go that far to say that he's just a backup. But he's not playing like a starter in this league. I have said several times, and I said it since the Cleveland game, and I continue to say it every single week, that Christian Fulton is more of a liability for your football team right now than he is an asset for your football team. And I understand that Christian Fulton still has that inherent talent and ability to be an asset for your football team. And honestly, at this point, I don't even really need him to be an asset. I just need him to not be a liability. Like, I just need you to do your job. I need you to not get cooked, and I need you to not give up 3rd and 12s with stupid PI calls. I need you to not blame the refs for your mistakes at the end of a football game. I need that from you. I just need you to do your job and do what we ask of you. Should the Titans bench Christian Fulton this weekend?
That's a really good question. This weekend, I would not. I think they should definitely bench him after the bye if he does not have a good game against the Ravens, because that's a good time to do it. But flat out, Christian Fulton needs a wake up call, and athletes have this all the time. Sometimes you're just in a rut, and you need something to wake you up. And when you're considered the number one guy and everybody treats you like that, and which he's been the number one corner on this team for the last 3 or 4 years. I think he does need to sit down. Is it this weekend in this particular game, going on the road in Baltimore or going on the road in London against Baltimore? I don't know if this is the right time, because it would be a quick turnaround to throw somebody in with all the travel and the lack of practice, and everybody's going to be tired. I just don't necessarily think that this would be the week to do it. But if he doesn't play well, maybe not even have like the mental lapses like he's had against Indy in Cleveland and against New Orleans, if he doesn't play well, then yes, I think he should to get that wake-up call, because that's the only thing that you can do to really get him back focused in on what he is supposed to be. This is a contract year for you. You're supposed to be playing ultra well, and he's taking risk, and he's getting burnt for it.
And I'm with you that in training camp, I was excited to see what Christian Fulton could do, because I thought, look, dude, you got 3 years where you're perpetually hurt, and you can't stay on the field. This is your opportunity to prove your value to this team. And I think we can all agree he's not getting a second contract here.
Oh, no.
Elsewhere, sure. Here, no. I would bench him this week, because what are you waiting for? You waiting for him to continue to hurt your football team again? Like, we are getting to a pretty critical point in the season where you play this week, you have the bye, then you play the Falcons, and then it's the trade deadline. And look, I stand pat with, I don't think that the Titans should trade Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry at the trade deadline, but I know that there are a lot of people that do want that if you are 2-5 through 7 weeks of the season, then trade everybody. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. But you're at a critical point in the season, and you're playing a really good football team in the Baltimore Ravens. And the Baltimore Ravens see the same tape that we see on a Sunday. They see how you can juke out Christian Fulton. They see how easy it is to draw some of those DPI penalties. So if the Ravens get backed up into 3rd and 16, say, all right, Lamar, just hit that receiver that's on that Christian Fulton is on, and then he will be able to give you a first down, to give you a first down on a silver platter. So I'm not going to let Christian Fulton hurt this football team again. I've seen all I've needed to see.
And Carolyn, you actually bring up a good point, because if there's any quarterback that can extend the play in the backfield by running around, moving around, giving his wide receivers more time and opportunity to get open. Because what's the rule of thumb when it comes to the secondary? 3 or 4 seconds is typically how long they can kind of stick on their guy. And after that, it's really tough to run with some of these athletes that are in the NFL.
And it may even be closer to like 2.5.
Yeah, exactly. So you're playing a guy like Lamar Jackson, and this is going to be one of the better offensive lines that this front has seen. And we saw how they played against, other good offensive lines like in Cleveland and in Indianapolis. If Lamar gets the time to maneuver around and wait for these receivers to get open, the Odell Beckhams, the Zay Flowers, which he is a speedster. He can get open in an instant.
If Zay Flowers can catch the football.
That is true. That is true.
He had 6 drops last week?
Well, I mean, did you hear what they were doing, though, in practice? I guess it was their wide receiver coach, because they were blowing this up all over social media.
They put butter on their hands?
No. They were using rugby balls to catch, help catch
that's smart.
Their ball. But that's why it's going through their hands, because they're so used to getting a really big ball.
Why don't you use a football?
Yeah,
the one that you're going to be thrown in a game.
Rex Ryan was on First Take saying, I don't know what wide receiver coach is trying to be some certain kind of guru or do the next trendy thing, but using a rugby ball to try and catch for NFL wide receivers makes absolutely zero sense. And that's why the balls kept going through their hands, is because they're warming up, catching these balls that are like twice the size of your standard NFL ball.
I get the thought of using a rugby ball because, yes, the size is completely different, and the shape is a little bit more, I guess, spherical is the best way to put it. But the grip on a rugby ball is not as, I guess, good as in NFL football. It's strictly leather, but for rugby you have those little dimples like you do in a basketball. That's kind of what you're getting with the rugby ball. So I understand where you could try and get a better grip. Also, rugby ball is a lot lighter than NFL football, so that's kind of where the different contrasts are. But I'm all about the hand radius there. That's where I could understand where you can see the ball better. But
because when you're like this instead of this,
it's completely different.
That's why the Duke is going straight through your arms. I mean, I think they threw that out for this week after the 7 drops. 3 of them were in the end zone against the Steelers. Flat out. I don't think they're going to be having as much of an issue as they were last week.
That literally sounds like a headline of an Onion article. That doesn't sound real. Like an actual coach in the National Football League was doing that.
Yeah, I think it's completely stupid. But
wild.
But to the point, though, I think Christian Fulton, I don't think they're going to bench him. So it's going to be this week you either step up and play well, play sound, don't go for the big play, and the marquee matchup was going to be, or the number that we were looking to see is, can the Titans get through these first 6 games with a tough schedule and be 500 by the bye? If they are, then we feel like they're in good shape.
Yeah.
But there's a huge difference between 2-4 and 3-3 in this AFC. And when you're playing a team like the Ravens, a team that, tiebreakers are going to matter at the end of the year, it's definitely one that they're going to have to get, and he's going to have to play well, because if you're getting burned by Indy wide receivers and Cleveland's wide receivers, they don't have a lot of talent. Baltimore has one of the better wide receiver cores that this Titans team has gone up against. And so they're going to have to step up and play their game, and Christian Fulton cannot afford to make those mistakes.
I just think if Mike Vrabel wants to be a coach that builds his team in his locker room on culture, which I think he does. I mean, that's something that Mike Vrabel takes very seriously, is the culture in the Titan way. And if part of your culture is don't do dumb stuff to hurt the football team, then you need to reprimand your players that are doing dumb things to hurt the football team. And that's what Christian Fulton did on Sunday in Indianapolis. Stupid stuff that hurt the football team. Same thing in Cleveland. Stupid stuff that hurt the football team. Like, there were so many people saying, like, wow, Deshaun Watson looks like vintage Houston Deshaun Watson after playing the Titans. I was like, no, he didn't. No, he did not, because a majority of Cleveland's offense came from what Sean Murphy-Bunting and Christian Fulton gave to them off of penalties.
I mean, guys were 10 yards of separation, completely wide open.
Right.
One of which was on Azeez Al-Shaair. He got hit with that sluggo route by the Cleveland running back. But yeah, no, the secondary is susceptible to big plays. And we know this. I mean, they let up the most passing yards by a defense last season. So it's something that we were hoping to get better. We kind of contributed the reason as to why they were so bad last year to health. But really, this Titans team, comparatively to the past 2 seasons, they've been healthy. So, like, where is the excuse now? They have to button up. And, again, against this AFC, against these quarterbacks that they're going up against on a week in, week out basis, if they're not sound, I mean, they're going to get lit up. And there's nothing that this front seven can do if guys are streaking down the field and you're also creating dumb penalties that are, moving the chains and setting people up in 1st and 10, 30, 40 yards down the field. It just doesn't make any sense for them to be able to do that and to allow those big plays to go down the field.
I would bench him. I would, because I can't let Christian Fulton continue to hurt this team. And it's a fair question to say, all right, you bench him, who are you going to play? Very fair question, especially in a secondary that lacks depth. But at this point, throw Trey Avery in there. Kendall Vildor. I truly understand that Christian Fulton has more talent and inherent ability than both of those corners, those corners who are true backups in the league. D-Mase said he thinks Christian Fulton is not a starter. I can't go that far yet. I understand Christian Fulton is not a backup.
He needs a breather.
But, and Joe Reichard has said this, he's your best corner. But at what point is he no longer your best corner if he continues to hurt the team? Like, I can go out there and get PI calls, and maybe I can do it for a whole lot less money. So at what point is he no longer giving you what you should expect from the guy who's supposed to be your best corner? I can't let him continue to do that, especially in crunch time, especially when you're standing at 2-3. The world's not over. The season's not over. But like you said, 3-3 feels a whole lot different than 2-4 does. And this is not a team that is built to dig itself out of holes. This is a team that's built to win, or it's built to keep themselves in really close games. And this is a culture and a team that's built on, we're going to keep it close all game long, but we're going to out-tough you and we're going to out-physical you so that way we continue to just chip away and chip away and chip away, and we emerge victorious in the fourth quarter. You can't do that when you're gifting out 3rd and 16s.
And another part of this that I think is an underlying issue going into this matchup is, the Titans' front seven isn't as healthy as it's been. So this secondary that really relies on pressure and to get home and to really disrupt the quarterback, the fact that Tier Tart isn't looking like he's going to go this week, he hasn't been practicing. Jeffrey Simmons is dealing with an injury that he sustained against the Colts, so he's not going to be 100%. This is going to be one of the better offensive lines. Can Harold Landry and Arden Key? We've seen them, beat up against, the Bengals, and we've seen them, play, decently well against the Chargers. But, against really good offensive lines, again, the Colts just absolutely took them away. We're blowing them off the line. And this Ravens offensive line is ultra talented, and they're finally getting healthy. They weren't healthy in the beginning of the year, but these guys are coming back, and they're starting to get rolling. And I think that after the way they kind of played in Pittsburgh, I definitely see this team wanting to make a statement and saying, all right, that's not how we're going to play, because Pittsburgh's front seven was all over them last week. This week, I think that they want to take this matchup and show that they're the offensive line that many people think that they are. And if this front seven isn't getting home, this secondary has to be the unit that steps up and has their best game in order for this team to have a chance.
Let's get your thoughts on this coming up next. What do you think the Titans should do with Christian Fulton, plus some injury updates and some Sunday status updates from TD? We'll get into those coming up next. Stay tuned into 102.5 and 106.3 The Game tomorrow for our college football game of the week presented by Twin Peaks as Vanderbilt takes on Georgia at 11 a.m. with pregame beginning at 9:30 a.m. Take your tailgate to Twin Peaks for scenic views of all the hottest college football games across the country and home of the 29-degree beer.
He knows the ins and outs of the Titans and isn't afraid to give his opinion.
Traylon Burks needs a massive offseason.
He's Jonathan Hutton of Outkick.
I don't see how they make a move without going to Ryan Tannehill.
Catch him every Monday at 10:30 on Chase McCabe and every Wednesday at noon on Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase. Hutton is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Happy Friday, everyone. We're going into the football weekend. So there's no better time now to start betting with Zen Sports. And if you need to make that switch, you need to make it really, really fast because they're a growing sports book here in Tennessee, revolutionizing the way you bet on sportsbook with their cash reward program. When you sign up for Zen Sports with code D-Mason, that's D-M-A-S-O-N, you will earn a welcome bonus that gives you 5% cash back on your total betting volume for your first 15 days of betting. Think about that for a second. 5% cash back on your total play with no limits to how much you can earn as cash rebate on your bets. So what are you waiting for? Stop wasting your time and your money betting on other sports books to earn credit or points when you could be earning real cash rewards with Zen Sports. Download today on the App Store or zensports.com. Your wallet and or purse will thank you later. Gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
Family Leisure invites you to relax at home this fall with all our indoor products on sale now.
Enjoy the movie theater experience with theater seating from Family Leisure. 3-piece sets start at only $9.99. Massage chairs are only $14.99 as well.
30 pool tables on display. Hundreds in stock for immediate delivery. Pool tables start at $14.99 install.
Family Leisure has above-ground pools ready for immediate installation.
Outdoor and wicker furniture. Huge selection still in stock.
Family Leisure's Relax at Home sale.
Antioch and Franklin.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. If you have some things around your home that you've been putting off fixing, like your regular HVAC maintenance or a clogged bathroom drain, Hiller has some big discounts this month. When the temperature drops and you start using your heater for the first time, you do not want to be dealing with breakdown issues, and this month, Hiller is offering half off HVAC tune-up. And Hiller is bringing back their $99 drain cleaning special. These deals only last this month, so be sure to call today. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Preds of Falls and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
So, if there's brunch, why isn't there dinner?
Or dunch, for that matter.
No, we know why there's no dunch.
Why is that?
People might get confused and miss brunch.
And I never want to miss a brunch this good.
Me either. Cheers.
Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Breakfast buffet Monday through Thursday from 7 till 10:30 a.m. and lunch from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Weekend brunch Friday through Sunday from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. featuring cast iron pancakes, made to order waffles, and eggs and carafes of mimosas. Treat yourself today to Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Get ready to elevate your game day experience. Titans fans, it's all happening at Mimo Bar on Titans Terrace. Just a short walk from the bridge at First and Demumbrian. They've got your epic pregame and postgame covered with their Italian classics and sensational cocktails. Your senses will be on a joyride. And hey, listen to this. Everyone at the Titans Terrace gets a chance to bag a Gibson Guitars merch bundle, a $100 Mimo postgame gift card, or a weekend brunch for two. So why wait? Mimo Bar, where Nashville's heritage meets Italian flavor.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
The Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut.
Strong-willed opinions.
There's hot takes and then there's like weird takes. Yeah. This is a weird take.
And sometimes some old man takes.
I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rex Road. Mornings from 6 to 9. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Do you think that if they have a repeat or some missed assignments by Fulton, do you think they are even capable of benching him?
Oh, you're saying the depth-wise?
Yes, depth-wise.
Yeah, I mean, it's not I guess the alternative would be, okay, we're taking him out because the eyes continue to be in the backfield. He's getting run over on some of these routes. It was reminiscent of A.J. Brown in Philadelphia and from last year and what we saw from Pittman last week. That the quick answer to that is no. The depth is not up to par. It's not up to snuff. And I think the other quick answer, D-Mase, is, man, the D-line and the pass rush has to affect the quarterback enough to help out the secondary. It's not a good situation. The alternative, though, would be, okay, we're getting Fulton out of there because he's a focus of what they're doing. They're going at him. And can it be much worse? Because they're giving up a ton of yards, not points. Mm-hmm. But in that respect, they couldn't get off the field to get their offense the ball back and even have a chance to, stay on the field. So it's a situation you don't want to be in this early in the season, especially with Fulton in a contract year. I thought this would progress better than what it had, given what we had seen from him this offseason and going into a season where he seemed motivated and ready to prove himself. It's more of the same, and that's the frustrating part. And even more frustrating has to be the fact that, while we consider internally the sentiment might be, while we consider sitting him down, we don't have anyone that's really going to take his spot long term.
There, that was Jonathan Hutton on Christian Fulton. And my question is, should the Titans bench Christian Fulton this weekend in London? I say yes. Because if you're going to be an organization that prides yourself on culture, and part of that culture is don't do dumb stuff to hurt the football team, then you have to hold players accountable for that. And Christian Fulton's been doing a whole lot of dumb stuff to hurt the football team. And I don't think that this football team can afford any more of that. And I understand the sentiment of let him work through it, give him an opportunity to get back and to kind of make right what he did wrong in Indianapolis and Cleveland. But look, this is the National Football League, and every single week is so precious. You don't always get the opportunity to kind of avenge what you did the week before. So I say, look, I understand Trey Avery or any of the other cornerbacks on the depth chart aren't as talented as Christian Fulton is, but you cannot keep giving Christian Fulton opportunities to hurt the football team.
Like I said, for me, the bye week would make more sense. And
I get that.
And during the break, I actually kind of thought about it. I was like, Trey Avery would be the number one candidate to replace Fulton. We saw him come in and play against the Chargers when Fulton was out. And he played pretty well in that game. But something that comes to mind for me was last year when the Titans had that Thursday night game at Nissan Stadium against the Dallas Cowboys. Do you remember that game?
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, the Cowboys are going to come in and just absolutely rout the Titans. It's going to be 30, 40 points. Everybody's sitting out. But they actually played very competitive, and it was mostly because of what Kevin Byard did, the 2 interceptions on Dak Prescott. But that game would have been a lot closer if it hadn't have been for a huge PI penalty committed by Trey Avery. And I remember that was a marquee difference in the game because it really was the Titans were in striking distance throughout the entire game until that call.
Yeah.
So for me, when I look at this, I know Christian Fulton has been bad. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice,
shame on me.
Yeah,
can't fool me again.
Can't put the blame on you. So I just think I like Fulton's upside. I just think it makes more sense for the Titans to transition to somebody else, get them more comfortable, implement it into the offense, not knowing that you don't have to fly across the Atlantic Ocean to London and try and just shove that person out there, because I think that that's also going to hurt you as well with game preparation, making sure that person is 100% comfortable. So for me, with Fulton being the number one corner coming into the season, I'm telling him this is your last chance, or we are putting you on the bench. And I think that is fair, and I think that gives the Titans the best opportunity to adjust if he doesn't come up and play to the standard on which he is supposed to.
I've seen all I needed to see.
You sure?
Yeah. After, how gettable that game was in Indianapolis and how many gifts Christian Fulton gave to the opposing sideline, I'm good.
So here's what I want to know about the Indianapolis game, and we
Yeah.
can kind of go back to that for just a second. Do you think that the Titans would have won if it wasn't for Christian Fulton's play?
Well, let's go back to that final drive, the last Indianapolis drive of the game. It was 4.5 minutes on the clock. You're down at what point? What are you down 6 at that point? I'll have to go back and look.
I think they were down 4.
They may have been
and then
down
they kicked
4.
the field goal to make it 7 at the very end.
That's it. Thank you. So you're down 4. Indianapolis is driving. They're at 3rd and 2. So, and I'm thinking at that point, they're going to get it here, and they're going to march down the field, and then you're not going to have enough time to score twice in a matter of, 3.5, 4 minutes. And then they get the offensive PI. And then they're backed up to 3rd and 12. And I'm like, okay, this is great. Your defense can get you a stop. And look, the defense was struggling all game long. They couldn't get off their blocks, couldn't stop the run. But I'm thinking, your defense can get you a stop here on 3rd and 12 with your backup quarterback in. You get the ball back at around, the 50, and you're in your own territory, but you can get the ball back. You have enough time to score. This game is still in your grasp. You can still win this football game. And then Christian Fulton gets called for PI on 3rd and 12, and you give them a first down. And at that point, around 4 minutes, I thought the game was over because Indianapolis, you just gave them the opportunity. So, I know that there were several opportunities missed. You were 1 for 4 in the red zone. You gave up 165 rushing yards to Zach Moss. Those are all areas that the Titans could have been better, and so many more opportunities that the Titans could have taken. So it's not just on Christian Fulton. There were a lot of things that went wrong in that game. Didn't get a pass rush, couldn't stop the run, could not get it in the end zone. You got 3s when you should have gotten 7s. I get that. It's not all on Christian Fulton. But in that moment, when Christian Fulton got called for that PI, I thought, this game's over. This game is over when Indianapolis gave you a gift of that OPI, and then you gave them a gift right back. So I do think that the Titans could have won that game, but there are also a lot of different factors. I can't put it just on Fulton. But that was one instance that I thought, Fulton, you hurt this team.
No, don't get me wrong. That play did hurt, but the Titans still had, I believe, 2 timeouts even after that. It was the next first down when Moss had a big run on the inside. And for me, Azeez Al-Shaair just looked
he had a bad
really
game.
I mean, both inside linebackers, even Gibbons, who I've been kind of giving him flowers early this season, mostly in his pass coverage. But
and honestly, for the most part, he's deserved it.
He has, but I don't know. I felt like the way the Indy game, and I know Christian Fulton, if we're ranking and we're playing the blame game, who gets most of the pie in the percentage? Sure,
Defense.
Christian Fulton, you get the biggest slice, but there's a lot of slices to go around.
And I don't even know if I would give him the biggest slice, but he does get a slice.
Who would you give the biggest slice to?
I would say probably just the defense overall.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
Because for me, when you can't win at all, and it's not even that you weren't winning, it wasn't like a really back and forth. You were getting dominated in the trenches. Yeah. You were getting dominated on both sides.
Which is where you are supposed to thrive defensively, is in the trenches.
Exactly. And the fact that you couldn't get a stop knowing the Colts were trying to run. And like I said, on that bit, there was a 13-yard gain by Moss that put them kind of in the red zone at the very end, and then the Titans had to exhaust the rest of their timeouts. That's when I knew that it was over, because I felt like if they kick the field goal, Titans in the 2-minute drill, they've been moving the ball, they get one last crack in the red zone, maybe they have an opportunity to tie it and send this game into overtime. But for me, it was just the way the Colts possessed possessed the ball and just blew the Titans' defensive front. Because, again, we don't look at this defense and expect the secondary to control the game and to be the reason the Titans win.
We've never thought that.
When it's your bread and butter, you know, being the number one defense against the run last year, you're supposed to be even better against it this year with some better inside linebacker play. I felt like that was the reason that they won. And again, Fulton, big plays, big loss, and big moments. Even though the one on the other side of the field against Pittman that I didn't think was catchable, he's been catching flack for that. Again, I think that was a bad call. The other one, not so much. But still, I still think that this team has more underlying issues than Fulton. And I think that if those issues kind of get worked out, maybe Fulton isn't being put in such a bad situation to where he does get put in these situations to make mistakes.
And I also look at it how many of those problems are fixable. Because if your players just aren't good enough, then that's not really fixable. You know, that's not an October problem. That's something that you have to address in the offseason. And that's something that it's tough to swallow, but you know, there's not really anything that you can do about it right now. What is fixable is Christian Fulton. One texter texts in, says, question for Caroline. If they bench Fulton and his replacements are worse, will you resign? No. No. And also, what would his replacements have to do to be significantly worse?
That's a good question. I mean, allow more catches on them throughout the game. Because again, he did get burned by Josh Downs early in the game on that. That was before Richardson went out when he hit that huge bomb, and there was a miscommunication between him and Molden back there, and they caught it in a window. But again, it's just the one thing about this team, and we were saying this before the season started, was they can't afford the injuries because the depth is not there. So that's my thing is I would rather ride it out with Fulton, knowing that he has that upside, knowing that if you kind of threaten him with the possibility of hey, you're going to get benched, this is a contract year for you, this is going to impact your future in the NFL, you could go from making maybe anywhere from $5 to $8 million a year as a mid-level starting corner in this league, or you could be making like veteran minimum because you lost your starting job in a contract year when you're supposed to have your best year. I think knowing that and knowing what his potential is, I think that I would rather ride it out with him until he just absolutely proves that he just can't get it done.
Gentry Estes has weighed in on the topic, so we will get into what Gentry has to think about our Christian Fulton discussion and also your thoughts on it as well. 615-737-1025. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Normally, C-Mase, Chris Mason, will join us on Fridays. He's brought to you by Coleman Tractor and Middle Tennessee's leading Kubota dealer. He is on his way to Boston, so no C-Mase today, but we'll get back with him next Friday. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Put Lee Company on your team and stay ahead of the game with home maintenance, improvements, and repairs. For only $12 per month, you'll receive 4 visits to your home each year by an experienced technician and discounts on service calls, parts, and labor. You'll also receive priority service with no emergency service rates. Let Lee Company keep your air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, and heating systems in tip-top shape. Visit LeeCompany.com today and schedule your first appointment online. Lee Company, all you need.
Vanderbilt Commodore fans, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, along with 94.9 The Fan, is your new home for broadcast of games and the Commodore Hour on Monday evenings. Catch all the action for football, men's and women's basketball, and baseball all season long. Go Doors!
102.5 The Game is proud to support our advertising partner, Pella Window and Doors of Nashville, on their charitable efforts for breast cancer in action. Tune in Monday for the Chase and Big Joe Show, along with Jared Stillman, live at the Pella Windows and Doors Customer Appreciation Golf Tournament.
At Staples, you can count on every project being print perfect, guaranteed.
I need invitations and posters printed, and they have to be perfect.
I need beautifully bound booklets and presentations for my business.
Your invitations and booklets will be in captivating color and will be done right every time. That's Staples Print Big Promise. And right now at Staples, get $50 off your print purchase of $150 or more. Try Staples and see the difference. Ends 10/14. Exclusions apply. See associate or visit staples.com/print for details.
Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Frazier with your Game Center update. The Nashville Predators got their first win of the season last night, beating the Seattle Kraken 3-0. Ryan O'Reilly shared his thoughts about the win after playing two really good teams.
Obviously, kind of early on, you're not really thinking too much about your opponent. You're kind of worried about yourself and your game, where we're at. But, can't help but say that we're progressing well. We're gaining more confidence, kind of building some chemistry within lines, pairings, and the system, the way we want to play, and now just learning the ins and outs of the little things that make a difference between winning and losing.
Tune in tomorrow night as the Nashville Predators take the ice again on the road in Boston. Coverage is set for 5 p.m. with puck drop to follow at 6 p.m. You can listen to the game right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 1063.
79-52 Vanderbilt. I think he's got a coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios. And we're streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. D-Mase is in London. Willy Donick is en route to Boston for the Predators matchup with the Bruins tomorrow night. So Junie Riddle joins the fold. Always appreciate my chats with Junie Riddle. And we are breaking down Christian Fulton. Because I have made it, I make it a priority to listen when Mike Vrabel talks about individual players, because I think Mike Vrabel makes it very clear players that he loves, just Vrabel guys, and players that he's frustrated with. Like Aaron Brewer last season, tougher than a $2 steak. Jack Gibbons, he loves Jack Gibbons. It's very
Ben
clear.
Jones.
Ben Jones. Oh, he loves Ben Jones. He loves Tajay Spears, saying, we're going to block for him. Those are Vrabel guys. And then it's very clear when Vrabel is frustrated with a player, when Julio Jones. That's where don't do dumb stuff to hurt the football team came from. It came from Julio Jones. And he has called out Christian Fulton by name now twice this season, and he did it last season. We talked about repeat offenders with the soft tissue injury. So he has made no mistake about it to call Christian Fulton out and make it known his frustration with Christian Fulton. And it's warranted. I think we're all frustrated with Christian Fulton. And you made a fair point at the break, Junie, of part of that frustration comes from what we know that he can do, the talent that he does have, the flashes that we have seen, whether it's in games or you mentioned in training camp, where he looked really good in training camp.
He was all over guys like DeAndre Hopkins was burning I felt like when DeAndre came on the scene, he really was making a statement in training camp by what he was doing and the catches he was making.
Yeah.
The one guy that was kind of going hand in hand with him in these one-on-one matchups and in these drills was Christian Fulton. And also brought up the Minnesota joint practices. What was the big storyline coming out of there? Oh, the Titans defense is dominating the Vikings.
Both days.
Christian Fulton was headlining that because he was really locking down Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the NFL right now.
Little tiger on tiger homicide.
And it's like, man, if this Titans defense can still be that stout, physical run defense, and then, you pair that with a healthy secondary, and these guys are taking a step up, and they're not going to be last this year. And these guys, Christian Fulton's in a contract year. We're going to get the best out of him. He's working with those trainers that worked with LeBron and D-Wade in Miami to fix his hamstring problem. Like, he was doing all of that.
And we talked to him at training camp, too.
That's why it's so disappointing.
It is disappointing. And we talked to him at training camp. He's like, this is the first time I've been in the league that I feel really healthy. He said, first season, I was just training for the combine, wasn't really ready for the brunt of the NFL. And every single offseason after that, he was dealing with the soft tissue injuries. He said, this is the first time that I can feel like I can just play. And I was so excited for him. I was so excited for this defense to see what he could add to it. And it's just been dumb mistake after dumb mistake, and he hasn't been playing to the level that this team needs him to play at. So I said, bench him in London, because he's hurt this team too many times, because he's made too many dumb mistakes, over and over and over and over again. But Gentry Estes of the Tennessean has weighed in on our conversation on Twitter. Gentry Estes says, Fulton obviously isn't playing well, but the constant scrutiny on him, and seemingly only him, this week has been wild when the entire defense stunk in Indy and Fulton isn't close to being the unit's highest paid player. All points, I get it. I totally understand. Points well made. First of all, I don't think that a player's contract should dictate whether or not we can criticize that player. And I get it. You paid more money. The expectations are higher. Like Jeffrey Simmons got that second contract, expectations raised because this is the NFL and this is a business. And as much as we don't want to talk about the dollars and cents that could be associated with a player's name, it's true that, your expectations raise when you're paid more. But I don't think that it should excuse an individual player from criticism when that player is not playing up to expectation. I think the other thing, too, is I think we highlighted other defensive players that are not playing well. We just mentioned Azeez Al-Shaair there. And I need to see more from Jeffrey Simmons. And against Cleveland, when we talked about some of, Christian Fulton and Sean Murphy-Bunting's penalties in Cleveland, well, Arden Key and Jeffrey Simmons missed a critical sack there. That's on them. They needed to be better.
Amani Hooker as well.
Yep, Amani Hooker as well.
So, for me, this team had a lot of hype. Al-Shaair had a lot of hype. Arden Key had a lot of hype. But, when it's their time and you're going up against the big boys, the Cleveland offensive line, the Colts offense, everybody's raving about these units being top 10 units on the offensive line rankings. They don't step up and make big plays against them.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, they bullied Joe Burrow, who was limping around on his calf and wasn't fully healthy, and they've had offensive line issues in Cincinnati ever since he's been drafted. Sure, you can go and bully them, but when you go up against somebody your size and of your caliber or maybe a little bit better, and you got to step up to the plate in order for this team to win, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it. So, again, it's like I completely agree with what Gentry Estes is saying here. But again, it doesn't excuse Fulton because the mistakes that he's making are easily fixable, and we're seeing them over and over and over again. And it's killing the Titans in very crucial moments, in the weighing moments, in the end of close games.
And I think there are a couple of things that add on to the frustration. One is the fact that this isn't really anything new with Christian Fulton, unfortunately. If it's not one thing, it's another. If it's not an injury, it's the penalty issues. This isn't just something that's been going on this season. This is something that we've seen from Christian Fulton really in the entirety of his career as a Titan. And I don't want that to overshadow the good things that he's done, because it's not like every single time that Christian Fulton's on the field is he's just, on his butt, because he's had some good plays. But overall, so far this season, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen a whole lot of not very good or straight up bad from Christian Fulton. And there has to be a certain point in time when you say, enough. You just haven't done enough good things to make up for the bad things that you have done. So to Gentry's point, no, it's not just on Christian Fulton. There are a lot of players on Sunday in Indianapolis that could have been better. Azeez Al-Shaair, get off your blocks. Get to the quarterback. I get it. The defensive line needed to step up. This is one of the best run defenses in the NFL. They didn't show that on Sunday. Nobody's excused from that. But when it comes to Christian Fulton, I haven't seen enough good to make up for the bad.
And to your point, and I told you this during the break, if the Titans, they're not going to. I don't think they are going to do it this week. But if they did, in a hypothetical situation, I wouldn't bat an eye. I personally wouldn't do it this week because, again, if you're going to throw Trey Avery in on a very awkward week, flying to London, everybody's schedule is off. I don't think that that's fair to the opportunity that you're giving to Trey Avery so that he can make the most of that opportunity. That's why I would wait for the bye. The bye is for every NFL team to kind of, okay, we got this week off. Everybody go and do something, decompress. We're gonna look at our mistakes that we've done. We're gonna look at how we can improve those, and we're gonna try and throw everything on the board in order to get the most out of the areas that we need the most work in.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I would wait till after this game just to see where they're at, give Fulton just one more opportunity. But again, if they were to go with that move, I mean, I wouldn't question it. I wouldn't say like, oh, that's so stupid. Why would you do that? Blah, 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 blah. No, I mean, it makes perfect sense to do that. But I would wait till the bye. Christian Fulton hasn't played good. Give him an ultimatum and say, this is your last opportunity, or we're going with one of the younger guys, a guy that hasn't gotten the opportunities you've had. Because, again, more like 90%, like I would even say 95%. You're not going to be here next year. And you're not going to get the contract that you want from the team that drafted you. So, for me, this is his ride or die. This is his last opportunity. If you can't fix the simple mistakes, then they got to go somewhere else.
Let's get some of your thoughts on this. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. One texter checks in, says, I know the trade deadline is looming, and I know there won't be any starting left tackles or prize players, but will there at least be decent cornerbacks out there that you guys know of? Waiting for Christian Fulton to become a great player is like waiting for Traylon Burks and Kyle Phillips and all of the other players who are consistently inconsistent for this team. Consistently inconsistent, I think, is a fair label to put on those players, and really, honestly, on this team as a whole. This team as a whole is consistently inconsistent. You've got the repeat offenders of the injuries. And look, I'm excited to see what Traylon Burks can become for this team, but I need you to stay healthy. And when you are on the field, I need you to catch the football, because he's been an inconsistent player so far this season. And, I don't think that, and I said it during training camp, that Traylon Burks needs to be your number one receiver. And he hasn't been able to stay healthy. He hasn't been able to catch the football. But as far as the decent cornerbacks out there at the trade deadline, I don't know. It's just going to be more patching up of holes.
I actually know a couple that might be on the trading block. Jaylon Johnson for the Bears. He's a solid corner, and there's been a lot of rumors and speculations with him that he could be, dealt to a team that needs help with corner. So that could be an option. A big fish that's out there, because Sean Payton has come out and said that basically everybody on the team is available. Pat Surtain has been rumored. Mm-hmm. Some insiders say that they're trying to hold on to him because they see him as a staple of the defense that they can build around. And others are saying that, even him, he is available. So that would be a huge splash. But for me, there are corners that will be on the trade block. But the real question to me is should the Titans be buyers at the trade deadline?
And what are you willing to give up? Like, I'm not giving up a 3rd or 4th round pick for Patrick Pat Surtain. I'm not doing that.
You wouldn't give up a 3rd or 4th round pick?
No.
Really?
No.
A 3rd, I would think about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. A 3rd round pick, I would definitely think about it.
I feel like Pat Surtain is honestly worth more than that.
Yes, but I mean, if you're setting the standard at a 3rd round pick, then please, by all means, give it to me.
I'm good.
I just would not, if I'm the Titans and the lack of draft picks that they have this upcoming draft, I wouldn't be a buyer at the trade deadline, because you need more assets. I mean, what's the big concern that Titans fans are worried about? Oh, well, John Robinson has stacked awful drafts, 2020, 2021. They haven't been good. Even 2022 hasn't been looking so hot here as of late. The Titans need a good draft. And you're telling me with all the picks that they're missing, I think, what do they have? 3, 4 picks this upcoming draft? 4. And 2 of those, I think 2 of them are 7th round picks. Yeah, you need more picks. You don't need to be giving up picks for the chance to go out and get somebody that's going to improve your team this year. You need more draft picks to build for the future than to go for it in this season. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think this team's in any position to be dealing out picks. The 7th round pick for Nick Folk, best move of the offseason.
Hey, he's got a leg.
He's got a leg.
He's been spectacular. Every single time.
I love him.
Every single time
MVP.
He's lined up for a 50-plus yarder and he's hit it. I mean, it's just like a sigh of relief, like kickback, like, man, this feels good.
It's so refreshing. It's so nice. Michael from Missouri texts in, says, do you all think that the Titans could get a 6th or 7th round pick for Christian Fulton? I know other teams are seeing the same thing that we are with him, but would his talent and contract expiring and inexpensive make him attractive to another team? The fact that the contract is expiring, I don't think is attractive to another team because he's going to have to get re-signed in the offseason. You're going to have to give him that second contract. And even still, I don't, if I'm another team, then I'm going to have to give out another contract to this player. Even a 6th or 7th round pick might be a stretch. I truly don't know what value Christian Fulton would have right now.
I would disagree. I think a team would do that. I feel like if you were to if you're a contender, no team that is kind of, teetering on average.
Yeah.
If he were to go to a defense, let's say, what's a team? Maybe like the Niners, right? The Niners have a great front seven. They have great linebackers. They even have a pretty good safety duo. But their corners aren't like blowing you out of the water. Mm-hmm. Let's say, God forbid, knock on wood, I'm not wishing injury on anybody. But let's say one of their corners go down. And they're like, we're contending. We need a guy with a lot of upside. What's a 6th or 7th round pick to maybe get a guy that could really help us and put us over the edge due to this injury issue? And we can take a flyer, and if it doesn't work out, bye-bye, see you later. We tried. We're still going to be good with or without that player. I could see a team like that making a move, a team that's a contender, maybe having injury issues, and they look at a guy like Christian Fulton like, maybe he's not doing so well in Tennessee because they got some holes on their defense, but with our team and our unit, maybe we could get the most out of him. I could see a team like that doing it.
I think the key you said there is we'll be good with or without him. I can get a guy off the practice squad if we're going to be good with or without him. I don't need to be giving up picks for that. And I think San Francisco knows maybe better than another team in the league how valuable a 7th round pick can be.
Very much so.
7th round pick is their starting quarterback at this point. Matthew in Nashville texts in and says they're not going to bench Christian Fulton, though they should consider it. Because the minute he gets burned for a touchdown or called for DPI, the Titans fan base is going to lose their minds. I'll also add Mike Vrabel will probably lose his mind the same way that Junie and I lose our minds watching Matt Canada call the offense every week.
Oh, my God.
I feel that. I've been there.
And you warned me.
Yeah.
You did. I had all these high hopes, and I was like, is he really that bad?
Yep.
And I didn't listen to you. Mm-hmm. And by golly, and I thought about that too. I was sitting there on one given Sunday just watching this god-awful offense. I'm like, Caroline Fenton told me. And I just didn't listen, and I felt bad. So I owe you an apology on the air.
We are all in Matt Canada therapy.
Yeah,
okay. It's all right. It's all right. That is a good question because I say bench him. I don't know if the Titans are going to do it. Like it's the same conversation that we had yesterday. Of you say move on from Tannehill, let the young guys play, and I say okay, well they're not going to do that. I don't know if they would bench him. That's a tough move to make.
Well, that's the difference.
Like the
for
reality
me,
of
is
it
like
all.
the Titans have invested in quarterbacks behind Tannehill. So in a sense, if the season was going down the toilet, let's say they're 3-7, and the Jags and the Texans or the Colts are kind of pulling away from you, it would make sense to move on, saying, let's give these guys some reps. Let's see what we got. Let's see, what they can and can't do. What are their strengths and weaknesses? Work for in the offseason going into next year because you've invested in that position. You don't have very many talented players behind Christian Fulton, and considering that this is still much of a go-for-it year for this team. It's like the last dance with this core of Henry, Tannehill, and Byard. For me, I think you really do have to rely and hope that you get a better Christian Fulton going down this stretch. And again, if you want to bench him and send a message, maybe Trey Avery does come in and play better, and fine, stick with it. Mm-hmm. But maybe benching him for a week or two could kind of wake him up, re-energize him, and say, all right, I need to be locked in, or my NFL career that, starting off looked to be somewhat promising.
Yeah.
Mid-tier, mid-level cornerback one at times that you could say. Mm-hmm. Easily a starter, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That is going to look completely different if he does not get his act together. And I just think with his potential, and I think that with that message of being benched and being embarrassed like that in a contract year, I think that he could have – I think there's room to bounce back. I'll put it that way.
And you can hope that it's going to get better. Hope is not a strategy in the National Football League. And look, maybe Christian Fulton is so sick and tired of just getting poo-pooed on, and he gets it right, got the coaching, and he comes out and has a great game in London. Sure. I just haven't seen that from him this season. So why should I now all of a sudden expect that this week?
Yeah. And again, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't expect it, but it's just when it comes to the cornerback position with the Titans, we talk about depth, and out of all the positions, that's one of the worst places on depth on this entire roster. And again, can it get worse? That is to be determined. Mm-hmm. And again, if they go and make that decision, I think that there is a possibility that we could see that. But again, Christian Fulton, the way that he's looked in the past when he was healthy, I put this stat out here before. Like, I went through and did the numbers last year. When Fulton and Amani Hooker were in the game together, obviously Kevin Byard never misses a game. So when those three were all playing together, the Titans allowed 70 yards less per game last season. And so to kind of see him come into this season and play at a lesser, making these mistakes and not playing up to what we have seen, I just feel like there's bound to be a rebound. I just have a feeling that if you send this message to him, whether you're threatening it or whether you actually go through with it, I believe in his talent enough to think that he has to rebound eventually. That's just how I feel.
We'll get back into this, and we'll get back into your thoughts on this. But coming up next, I think this is one of not just the biggest stories in the National Football League, but one of the biggest stories in sports. How could that impact the Titans? We'll get into that coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase is brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia,
or the NFL.
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline Fenton here for my friends over at Black Tie Moving. When you choose with Black Tie Moving, you are going to get a highly awarded Inc. 500 company. I moved with Black Tie Moving over the summer, and so I've moved 7 times in the last 8 years. So I have gone through some horrendous, awful moving experiences. When I moved to Nashville, my stuff was sitting in a storage unit in New Jersey for 3 weeks. So it was brutal. So when I was moving a couple months ago, I thought, I'm just going to do it myself because I don't want to have to go through another brutal moving experience. But I was told by a friend, hey, try Black Tie Moving. Just give it a shot. I promise you I had a really good experience with them. Try it with them, and then if it's bad, then fine. You can come back and tell me how it went. But it was the most seamless, the most stress-free, and truly the best moving experience that I have ever had. Black Tie Moving was in constant communication with me for a week leading up to my move. They told me exactly how much the move was going to be. They let me know exactly when the movers were going to be there. And once the movers arrived, they take such great care of my space, such great care of everything that I was moving, all of my furniture. They listened to all of my concerns. They answered all of my questions in so much detail. Truly, it was such a breath of fresh air to have a moving experience with people that had just as much respect for me and my space as I had for my space and my things. So visit blacktiemoving.com or call 615-437-8401. That is 615-437-8401. And be sure to mention the promo code GAME, G-A-M-E, to score 10% off of your next move. And then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life.
October 28th is Drug Take-Back Day. STARS, Nashville's regional overdose prevention specialists, have teamed up with Skyline Medical Hospital to help provide the community with an easy way to dispose of drugs. Don't take the chance of your unused or expired medication falling into the wrong hands. Join us October 28th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Skyline Medical Hospital at 3441 Dickerson Pike. We'll have a drive-thru set up to collect your unused or expired medications for safe disposal. This project funded under a grant contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Actor portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin. Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra. Results vary.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and Georgia from First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Coverage starts at 9:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad.
It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase.
Dominic Cavity.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Belichick's last season coaching the New England Patriots, would that be an overreaction?
I don't think so. I think that is not an overreaction. Wow. Things are very bad there, and they are now wondering if they really have the quarterback for the long term. I think there's a lot going on there that feels like they're headed for a major reset. If you're going to do a major reset, you're going to do it with a coach in his early 70s. Is he going to want to do that? I think there's a lot of legitimate questions swirling around the short-term and long-term future of that franchise.
All right, there. That was Dan Graziano on Get Up earlier this week. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, Junie Riddle in for D-Mase, and Willy Donick today. So, this is, and it may sound crazy, probably the best coach in the history of the National Football League. Now on the hot seat. You heard it there, and I was looking at on The Athletic earlier this morning. There's an entire section on the Athletic NFL page dedicated to Bill Belichick's future. Look, I don't blame him. I understand. You got 5 rings. You brought all of that success to New England. 6 rings. This team's horrible. Like, the Patriots are awful. They have gotten blown out the last 2 weeks, 34-0 against the Saints last week.
That was a huge shock because the Saints haven't been that impressive.
The Saints are all right. The Saints are good, not great. You know, they're a fine team. They're not a 34-0 kind of team. Like, they're not the Miami
Foxborough,
Dolphins. Exactly.
34-0.
Got blown out by the Cowboys 38-3, and I think we're all kind of seeing the writing on the wall that the Cowboys might just not be very good this year. The Patriots are sitting at 1-4, and I think we kind of expected them to be last in the division in the AFC East.
Yeah, especially with Rodgers.
But post-Rodgers life for the New York Jets, and the Patriots are still sitting at 1-4 in last place in that division. They are truly atrocious.
Yeah.
They weren't very good last year either. They haven't won a playoff game since 2018 when they won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady.
Yep, because that final year with Tom Brady, they got beat by your Tennessee Titans.
Yes, they did.
So, yeah, that was the last win for them. But all good things have to come to an end. You know, for me, my dad always talks about when Chuck Noll kind of got shooed out. He left on his own terms in quotations.
Yeah.
But the Rooney family basically told him, "Hey, you got us 4 Super Bowls, all these playoff wins. You're a Hall of Famer. You were the coach of one of the greatest dynasties of their time, but it's time to go." And it's the writing is on the wall that it's time for the Patriots to uphaul and just transition. The Brady years are over. Yeah. And let's be real. Belichick was never a great coach. He was a good coach, never a great coach until he got Tom Brady. So, is this a big surprise? I would say not.
And one texter texted in, I feel like everyone ignores that Belichick is only a good coach with Tom Brady. I don't know if everyone ignores that. I mean, that was the massive conversation once Tom Brady decided to go to Tampa Bay. Belichick or Brady? Belichick or Brady? When Brady won a Super Bowl without Belichick, and Belichick has been, since Brady has only gone to the playoffs once, and they got routed in the first round of the playoffs, I think we all kind of understand it was probably a little bit more Brady than it was Belichick. But, it's still the idea of, well, he's still Belichick. Yeah, he's still Belichick. But after what he did last year, giving a young quarterback a defensive offensive coordinator like Bill, everybody wants him gone. Everyone in Boston wants him gone. These are serious discussions of Bill Belichick getting fired. Like, even in The Athletic, there's an article put out by Jeff Howe, who has, if there's anybody who is more plugged into the Patriots organization, like, he's been covering the Patriots for forever. When it comes from him, I think about the source, and I'm like, okay, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He wrote an article in The Athletic titled, "If you think that Patriots owner Robert Kraft wouldn't fire Bill Belichick, you're wrong." So this is a serious scenario. And it could be a Bruce Arians in Tampa Bay kind of deal of, we are going to give you a promotion to the front office. Could be that situation.
Even though he's already the GM.
Pop. More so, I think Bruce Arians is
like a lesser,
like a talent
consultant, kind of ordeal.
We will send you up to the front office, but get your mitts off this team. I don't know if Belichick would go for that. It could be that. It could be Bill. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You're going to retire at the end of the season, or it could be Bill. You're out. You're fired. And that might seem a little bit crass, but if Jeff Howe says that Robert Kraft would do it, then I believe it. But here's where I think the Titans are involved in this. Because the fair question, whenever you fire a coach or have the conversation of firing a coach is, who are you going to hire? So if you're the Patriots, who are you going to hire? Who is somebody that would take the job to follow the coach that brought your team 6 Super Bowls? Those are pretty big shoes to fill. I looked at Athlon Sports of 3 possible candidates. Gerard Mayo is one of those that I think is a likely name to come up in the conversation.
Great Patriots linebacker.
A Patriots guy.
Yeah.
A Bill guy.
Familiar with the organization. Makes sense. Defensive guy.
Another name. Mike Vrabel.
Ooh.
And it makes sense. Because Mike's on the Bill tree, but not really on the Bill tree. Like, he's not a Bill Belichick coaching descendant, but he's a Patriots descendant. that was there in the best of times. He's the kind of coach that I don't think really would be intimidated of taking over after Bill Belichick. He played there for the longest time. He won Super Bowls in New England. It makes sense. Now, you would have to trade for Mike Vrabel, and that's a completely different conversation. But one thing that I want to ask Titans fans, because I know that a lot of Titans fans have been really frustrated with Mike Vrabel, and it's been, fire Vrabel, we're not going anywhere. 2 and whatever in the last however many games, the 7-game losing streak. Mike Vrabel is arrogant. Mike Vrabel can be kind of a butthead sometimes. Not true. Get rid of him. Get rid of Mike Vrabel. Fire Mike Vrabel. We're sick of Mike Vrabel. Which I think is easy to say whenever, you're thinking about the grass being greener on the other side, whenever it's a hypothetical conversation. But there's a lot of smoke with Bill Belichick, and where there is smoke, there is fire. I don't think that Mike Vrabel wouldn't be a possible, candidate to fill Bill Belichick's shoes. So my question for Titans fans is, if that became a reality, where the Patriots trade for Mike Vrabel,
in your proposition, it has to be a first-round pick. First-round pick for Vrabel.
Yeah, I would say probably a first-round pick. I don't know if the Patriots would do that, because I'm looking at the Sean Payton coach trade deal, which doesn't happen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was a first and a third, but also Sean Payton won a Super Bowl, so the stakes are a little bit higher. But if it came to the place, and I don't know how far or how close we are from that, but if it came into the situation where Mike Vrabel became the head coach of the New England Patriots and you are now left on a coaching search, then how would you feel? Because for me personally, I would feel really bleak about the future of this organization.
Really?
I have my qualms with Mike Vrabel, and he is not a sacred cow. Todd Downing falls on Mike Vrabel for how much we want to nitpick and say how bad of an offensive coordinator Todd Downing was.
Bringing him back the second year.
And bringing him back the second year, exactly. That falls on Mike Vrabel. He is now a larger role within this organization, now within Titan of player evaluation. I don't know how much I really love that with Mike Vrabel. So I got issues. And in-game decisions as a tactician, I disagree with some things that Mike Vrabel has done in the past. But overall, Mike Vrabel's a really good coach. Overall, you're not that far removed. You're 2 seasons now removed from the Titans being the most injured team in the league and still being the top seed in the AFC.
Winning coach of the year
in that year. I credit Mike Vrabel for that. I still think that the element of, well, we have Mike Vrabel and you don't, is still alive and well. At some point that may go away, but for me right now, I still, when it comes down to a coach versus coach comparison, I would say I'd take Mike Vrabel over a majority of other coaches in the league. Not all, but a majority of other coaches in the league. I still think he's one of the best coaches in the league. So I get it. We can be frustrated with where this team is at. We can disagree with some decisions that Mike Vrabel has made. We can think that sometimes Mike Vrabel is an arrogant butthead. I get it. I know. He can be. But when it comes down to it, if we're coming to a scenario, what it could, and it might not be, this is totally just speculation. If it could be a realistic scenario that you're without Mike Vrabel, I don't want that.
I think there is 2 arguments, and I think that there are actually portions of Titans fans that would fall into both of these categories. One side of it, and this is the side that I kind of lean towards, I think that you would rather stick with Vrabel than to move on and look somewhere else. Know where you've been. I mean, the Titans, even with the final years of Jeff Fisher, haven't had a really good marquee coach since the McNair and the Eddie George years.
Yeah.
Really, after 2008, when they were the number 1 seed in the AFC, the 13-3 year with Kerry Collins as the quarterback and Chris Johnson, they didn't really have excellent coaching at the helm until they got Mike Vrabel. And so for me, it's know where you've been and know that you can kind of go back there. So for me, I like what Vrabel has done for the most part. Again, you have your quorums and you listed those out, and I agree with you about that. But, I also see, him with Arthur Smith. And although he is a primary defensive coach, at least he's willing to go out and get good offensive coordinators with Tim Kelly. I know that, some of the decisions, especially with not giving Derrick Henry the volume that he really needs to get going and for this offense to be at his best, there have been some questionable decisions, but overall, I like what Tim Kelly has done. I've seen a lot of better, route tree combinations, guys getting freed open. So Vrabel is willing to go out and get good coordinators, which I think for a defensive coach is really important because some guys don't want, other coaches to get the spotlight and to get the shine that they deserve. A lot of people are very kind of competitive when it comes to that. So I like Mike Vrabel in that aspect, and I see him kind of as like a Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll-esque coach. He's a player's coach. He gets the guys that want to fight for him, that are willing to run through a brick wall for him in a matchup where you don't think the Titans have a chance. Somehow, some way, he gets his players to play at their maximum potential in order to get that win. That is the pro for Mike Vrabel. But there is another side of this, and another side of Titans fans that I hear that say, we are so sick and tired of having the defensive-minded head coach. And this is something that Colin Cowherd points out on his show all the time. Like, when was the last time a defensive coach has competed for a championship? What we are seeing nowadays, Bill Belichick and that Super Bowl against the Rams. Other than that, it's always been offensive-minded head coach that call their own plays with their own schematics. They have a bunch of offensive assistants, offensive coordinators, quarterback coach that kind of follow in suit with them, that have been under them for years. I think of Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan. We're seeing it with other young coaches as well. And then they always go out and get that stud assistant coach that's really good at defense, the way that Shanahan had DeMeco Ryans. That's kind of been the winning formula. And I think there's a portion of Titans fans that are like, we're sick of the run-first offense. We're sick of the conservative play, the defense first, the not modern offense that the NFL is starting to trend towards. So there's a give and take, and there's very logical reasons on both sides of this argument. For me, though, I think the risk outweighs the reward, and where Mike Vrabel has taken this team compared to where they were the decade prior, I would rather stick with the guy that gives you the best chance to win than try and risk it with some new, young, flashy, offensive-minded, schematic coach that may or may not pan out.
And this is a question that I want everyone to think about at the break. If the Patriots offer you a first-round pick from Mike Vrabel, what would you do? We'll get into that coming up next. And, of course, your phone, 615-737-1025. Hey, make your silly underdog picks for your chance to win weekly prizes. You can play at thegamenashville.com or the 1025 The Game app as we approach Week 7 of college football and Week 6 of the NFL. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad.
It's Chase McKay.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase.
Dominic Cavity.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Men, listen up. I need to tell you about Cool Springs MD. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and his wife, Daphne, along with that wonderful and experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life. Cool Springs MD services have already helped many men of Brentwood, Nashville, and the surrounding areas in Tennessee with improving their immune systems, energy levels, cognitive functions, and more. They are there to connect you with the medical care you require to have a healthy and enriched life. So, there's no better time now to achieve a healthy lifestyle. Men, what are you waiting for? Give Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment. Here's the number, 615-486-3458. That's 615-486-3458. Or visit our website at coolspringsmd.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, you're in the red zone for every college rivalry and divisional matchup all season long. On game day, you never have to decide which teams to watch, only what combination of bites, burgers, wings, and more to order. Plus, where else are your favorite draft beers always poured at a frozen 29 degrees? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late-night bites. Only at Twin Peaks.
Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville invites you to support Breast Cancer Awareness Month by donating to Breast Cancer in Action. BRA's mission is to empower breast cancer survivors physically and emotionally, by creating inclusive communities where all can grow in strength, resilience, and joy. Find it in your heart to donate by going to info@bragroups.org. Pella Windows and Doors would also like to thank their sponsors of their Putt for Pink Customer Appreciation event: Binks Lodge, the Nashville Predators, Apio Media, Little House Animal Hospital, Mid-10 Ford, and 102.5 The Game.
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband, proud father of 2, work my butt off 6 days a week, some nights too. When my family or my company needs me to make it happen, I make it happen. But a few months ago, I started having trouble making it happen, in the bedroom. I tried some pills online, but they didn't work. Honestly, I thought about throwing in the towel on my sex life, but I'm not that old. I still want to enjoy intimacy with my wife. Like that poet said, I don't want to just go gently into that good night. So I went to the Tennessee Men's Clinic in Franklin.
Got some lab work done, was prescribed some meds, and
wow, it made it happen. I can't say enough about them. Their providers took care of me, followed up, and made sure I had a treatment plan that actually works. It's awesome. If I were you, and you're like me, I'd give them a call today, 615-208-9090, or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. If you're like most guys, they'll make it happen for you too.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
At Mercedes-Benz of Music City, a healthy and productive culture takes a day-to-day discipline. Here's Sam Cavett, General Manager, with a few thoughts.
Mercedes-Benz has its standard, and we have Dream Motor Group standards. They're definitely on the same level, but I feel like we challenge ourselves at least as much as Mercedes-Benz challenges us. It's a genuine motivation to take care of customers, and we see it in the customer reviews.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
Get a great deal on select Kubota equipment, the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience in the U.S. The versatile lineup is built to help you make the most of your land. Right now at participating dealers, get a Kubota compact tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months, plus save up to $800 on qualifying implements. Now through October 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimers for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
The Parker Store at 1909 Nolensville Road in Nashville is the Parker Factory Authorized Store for your Parker hydraulic, pneumatic, water, and chemical hose needs. They stock metric tubing and hose connections to 42 millimeters in size, and they'll fabricate while you wait up to 6,000 PSI hydraulic hoses in a 2-inch size. Call the Parker Store at 615-248-8245 for all the Parker requirements you have. The Parker Store, 1909 Nolensville Road.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one. It's absurd.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The owner of the team isn't going to fire the coach when they suck. Then what are we doing? What are we doing? There's no accountability? So you can win or lose and just go out and play and it doesn't matter? Like, if it has reached that point, then get out. Like, what's the point? If Robert Kraft isn't going to consider seriously firing the coach, well, then what the hell are we doing? Because it's time.
So that's the conversation that they're having on Boston radio is if you're not going to fire the coach when the team stinks, then when are you going to do it? And like I said, there's an entire section on the Athletic NFL page, Bill Belichick's future. There are a lot of Patriots that want him, Patriots fans, that want him gone. The team is not very good. Tom Brady is not walking through that door. So I do think it's probably a very realistic possibility if the Patriots do decide to move on from Bill Belichick that Mike Vrabel could be a candidate to be the next Patriots coach. The question that I posed before the break, and I want to go around the room, if the Patriots offer you a first-round pick for Mike Vrabel, what do you do? What would you do?
I am saying I'm really kind of teetering borderline with it, but I would lean towards no.
No?
I would lean towards no.
Nick? Round pick for Mike Vrabel.
It's tough because if we're talking about this year, that first-round pick, I mean, it could be a very high first-round pick. So it would have to be more than just a first-round pick for me. It would have to be a first-round pick and maybe a third or something, like contention of some other pick. But I'm not trying to get greedy. I'll say in this case,
Just first-round pick.
yes.
Yes.
I would definitely do so. Because
why?
I mean, if you're gonna get, do I get Belichick in return, or is it just a first-round pick?
No, just a first-round pick.
Okay, well then that kind of switches things up a little bit. But no, I would still say yes, due to the fact that the Titans have always had this like go-get mentality, and even when Vrabel was here, he kind of re-emphasized that. I think with any other coach out there in the NFL can kind of help that, keep going to the next level. Vrabel, yes, is a player's coach. He's a very unique type coach. But for the Titans' sake, I think they can replicate what they've done throughout their whole entire tenure since they've been in Nashville, and that's run the football. And you may or may not have Derrick Henry going forward in the next couple of seasons. You could do that with another running back. I mean, yes, Derrick's a once-in-a-generational player, but, the cycle turns. And if you can get a good draft pick in return for Mike Vrabel, then sure.
I say no, because this team is going through changes. And I think we all feel like it's probably more likely than not that this is the last hurrah, that it's, Tannehill, Henry, Byard, that core of this team. None of them, or most of them, probably will not be here next year. It's going to be the Will Levis show. I don't know how much I trust a new coach to be able to facilitate that shift. The second thing is you hired Rand Carthon with the idea of how the front office of your organization is built. You hired Rand Carthon with the idea that he was going to collaborate with Mike Vrabel. So you bring in a new head coach. Well, does that make Rand Carthon now sole general manager with all decision-making rights? Well, I don't know how I feel about a first-time head coach or a new head coach with now a first-time general manager that's making all personnel decisions, with a new quarterback, with a fairly young team that's going in a different direction, that is assuming that they move on from Tannehill, Henry, Byard, or any combination of the three. So I'm good. I don't think that a first-round pick would be as valuable as what Mike Vrabel's value can bring, at least at this point. Look, Mike Vrabel's not a sacred cow. This team keeps going down this direction, then maybe we can have the discussion. Like, Mike Vrabel's not innocent in 7-10 last season. But I want to get some of your thoughts on this. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Eric has been waiting very patiently and is now on the line. What's up, Eric?
Hey, guys. First of all, I just want to say, as far as the Vrabel thing, it would have to probably be more than just a first-round draft choice for me to do it. But here's one thing I will say about Kraft and the whole Belichick thing. I'm going to throw this out there. I think he'll go to him and says, look, I will keep you if you do this. Give up the GM job, because he's been a terrible GM, even during the Tom Brady a lot. And then if he's not willing to do that, then I'll say all bets are off. Because I think he definitely wants to keep him because, of course, Belichick wants to break down opportunity. And if he makes that demand, I want to be coach and GM. So I think that's what Kraft will do, is say, I'll keep you if you're willing to give up the GM job. And if he's not willing to do that, then all bets are off. Guys, y'all take care, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you for your call, Eric. And fair point of, could there be an ultimatum of, we can keep you on in an altered role because whatever's doing right now, it's not working. Bill Belichick, I think, would say, don't let the door hit me on the way out.
I completely agree. I mean, imagine this. How long has he been GM and coach? I mean, it's been well over a decade for sure. I don't know.
Been in the league for 50 years.
Yeah, so imagine you have all the power and control. You're 70 years old. I mean, you've been in this position longer, obviously, than you're going to be. Mm-hmm. So why would you be okay with somebody coming in and taking 50% of your power? I don't know. If I'm Belichick, I would much rather be like, okay, I had my run. We won 6 Super Bowls. No other coach has ever done that for an organization. I'm good. I think it'll be I'd rather retire than to kind of stay here and hold on to this and do this completely over. Because, again, it's been 4 years without Brady. 3 of those years they've missed the playoffs. And the 1 year they did make the playoffs, they got routed by 40 points by the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. Like, I mean, it was awful. So, and even then, with this core group that he has brought in post-Brady, they're going to have to start over and move off him again because I mean, clearly, Mac Jones ain't it. So does Belichick at his age, losing 50% of his power and control of the organization, does he really, really want to get into that? I would say no.
And bringing in another general manager to follow up Bill Belichick while Bill Belichick is the coach sounds like an absolutely miserable balance of power for anybody else that would walk through that door.
But in the thing about if they were to trade Vrabel and do that, it just makes more sense for them to move on.
Just
because
cut ties, start over.
And then that way Vrabel can come in, basically a clean slate, go get his guy, and then build the roster that how he wants it. Likely I don't know if Vrabel would go in and be coach GM immediately, but he would have a lot of power. He would likely go in kind of like this in a similar situation to how he is now. Titans just hire Rand Carthon, but we know who's in charge. Mm-hmm. It's Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
Mike Vrabel would have similar power in the Patriots organization as he would if he was here. But the question is would the Titans do that? And as fans listening to the show, would you be okay with doing that?
We'll get back into your thoughts on this, but coming up next, Gary Stein of 105.7 The Fan in Baltimore will join us. Titans taking on the Baltimore Ravens this weekend. We'll get his thoughts on where this Baltimore team is at. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
This year, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee celebrates its 120th anniversary. Through time, BGCMT continues to evolve to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, and responsible leaders. Because of your continued support, BGCMT has remained strong and is committed to supporting our youth and solidifying our mission and culture in new exciting ways for 120 years. Visit bgcmt.org today.
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Frazier with your Game Center update. The Tennessee Titans are headed to London as they take on the Baltimore Ravens. Yesterday, before the wheels went up, Tennessee Titans running back Derrick Henry spoke to the media and was asked about trying to be 3-3 before the bye week.
Yeah, definitely a little better than 2-4, I'll tell you that. So, that's the goal, to hopefully go on the bye week with a win and have some momentum. But, we got to go out here today, practice, get better, and then head over there and be locked in when we get over there as well. So when we get to Sunday, we're ready to go.
Tune in tomorrow as the Vanderbilt Commodores host the #1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. You can listen to the game on 94.9 The Fan. Coverage begins at 9:30 a.m. with kickoff to follow at 11 a.m. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Covering your teams and the news of the day.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mace.
Who is pleasant to listen to.
With Caroline Fenton, Willy Donick, and former NFL wide receiver Derek Mason.
You are hands down my favorite radio personality of all time.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
With no further ado,
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Game Studios, and we're streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. The Titans have touched down in London, taking on the Baltimore Ravens at Tottenham Hotspur on Sunday. And joining us now to preview that game is Gary Stein of Monumental Sports and Entertainment. He covers the Baltimore Ravens, and it is brought to you by Calabria Pizza. Come try their pizza in Goodlettsville and Mount Juliet, because life is too short to eat bad pizza. Gary, appreciate your time and appreciate you for joining us. One thing that I've been really enjoying watching this season is the difference in the Baltimore Ravens offense. It feels like Lamar is throwing the ball more. It feels like he's throwing it with a bit more confidence. Is that Lamar just kind of settling into his strengths? Is that the Todd Monken effect? And am I seeing that right? Does it feel like a little bit more of a passing-involved Baltimore Ravens offense?
Well, first of all, pep, cheerio, and all that jazz as far as England. Yeah, it is a different offense, guys. There's no doubt about it, and it is the Todd Monken factor. If you really watch the way the offense operates now, and I don't know if D-Mase is there, but he can tell you this firsthand, they're much more spread out than they've ever been before. They go to more 3 and 4 wides, but even when they do that, the tight end branches out a little. So, and the reason why that is they want to create space for the playmakers. This is not so much an over-the-top offense to take the top off the defense. This is more of a catch the ball in space and make a play, because you've got playmakers. You've got the guys, like Zay Flowers and Nelson Aguilar and other players that can, do that just to sail out of the backfield. So that's really where it is. And also the option of Lamar running. Yeah. When the field is opened up more, when there's more space, there are wider lanes that are created, which allow Lamar, if he decides to take off, to have more space. So I think that's what you're seeing with the Ravens offense. I can tell you from an analyst perspective, I just wish that they would be more consistent, and we can talk about that, I'm sure, as the interview goes on.
Yeah, Gary Stein of Monumental Sports and Entertainment is with us. You ask if D-Mase is here. He's actually got his boots on the ground in London. So he's playing hooky and, gallivanting around, shopping, and around Europe. But we're excited for D-Mase that he gets to be there. But that is one thing that I wanted to ask you is the consistency of this offense. And you mentioned the playmakers. I mean, Zay Flowers, it felt like couldn't catch a cold last week. What's going on there?
Well, not only that, but he was tripped up by the 30-yard line. I don't know if you saw that play.
That is tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the flu. It's contagious. I mean, yeah, he dropped a couple, got tripped up by the 30. Rashad Bateman dropped a touchdown pass. Mark Andrews dropped a touchdown pass. Nelson Aguilar dropped what would have been a key third down conversion for the Ravens. Justice Hill fumbled as he crossed the 50-yard line on a drive. Lamar fumbles. He throws an interception. Look, I mean, it's really, I mean, at the end of the day, look, they're going to catch 95 out of these 100 passes, but it just so happened, okay, that collectively they dropped 7 in the same game. There's the Ravens were clearly a better team than the Pittsburgh Steelers this past Sunday. They're clearly a better team than the Indianapolis Colts that they lost to a couple weeks ago. They should be 5-0 right now. It may not be a resounding 5-0, but they should be 5-0. Instead, they're 3-2. And you know what? In the NFL, as in any other sport, your record is what you are what your record says you are. Okay? So in my view, they're a 3-2 team that's got holes. They need to focus and they need to make plays. They're just not making enough big plays, and they're giving the ball away just too much.
We're talking to Gary Stein from Monumental Sports and Entertainment. He covers the Baltimore Ravens. Gary, this Baltimore Ravens team has been one of the more, how do I say this, injury-prone teams the last couple of years, been dealing with a bunch of key injuries. Last week we saw a lot of guys coming back, key players like left tackle Ronnie Stanley, cornerback Marlon Humphreys. I felt like they had decent games, but they didn't really play up to their level. What's the insight on these guys, and how are they kind of coming back from their injuries, and do we expect them to kind of be more of their high level in London against the Titans?
when you come back from an injury, you don't perform necessarily well or to 100% of your abilities that first game back. And I think a lot of it has to do with lack of practice, number one. And then also, forget about practice for a minute. Then the game, right? You don't have that game intensity, that game speed, that game crunch, that game hit. So when you're coming back from injury, you're missing all of that. And I think that's what you saw with Marlon Humphrey. I thought Marlon did a pretty good job all game long, but when push came to shove at the end of the game, Pickens got away from him for a 41-yard touchdown, and that was the difference. Stanley's a little hesitant. I mean, to be honest with you, guys, he's had season-ending injuries 2 years in a row before last year. He's kind of not the same player that he was in general, although I think he's still a very good player. Patrick McCary, who's like the sixth man of the offensive line, went down with an injury, although he should play on Sunday. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just natural and normal to not be at 100%. Now, if you're going to ask why the injury bug has hit the Ravens, they are scratching their collective heads about that. They fired their strength and conditioning coordinator before last season. They're mulling a change from going from artificial to grass. They just really don't have an answer. The injuries have been wide and varied. Some of them have been non-contact. So I don't really think that they have a good answer as to why they've been so injury-prone the last couple of years.
Gary, another one here for you. The NFL in general is ultra familiar with the Steelers and Ravens rivalry since Tomlin and Harbaugh have taken the helm in 2007 and 2008. But it seems like these two teams really beat up on each other when they match up. The Ravens and Steelers both have pretty bad records the week after they play against each other. Is this something that might be a concern, and then also along with the travel to London as they face the Titans?
Yeah, I think it is a concern. I mean, they'll never tell you that, obviously, but I do think that the Steelers and Ravens do beat each other up. To be honest with you, I think the Ravens and the Titans beat each other up. I mean, those games are wars. You guys probably remember when we were in the same division all together back in the early 2000s. I mean, yeah, Steelers-Ravens was a big rivalry, but I would say Steelers-Titans back in the day, same division, D-Mase played for the Titans, was probably, if not as good, just as good. So, yeah, I think they are beat up. I think traveling to London is a pain in the you-know-where, probably for Tennessee too. No, nobody's going to use that as an excuse, though, as you know. You can't. You don't get a bye after you play after you play the Steelers. So they're just going to have to lace it up and do the best they can. I think it's going to be a great game. The Raven-Titan games are always great games. So, but all those factors aside, let's just play football on Sunday.
Absolutely. These are two incredibly physical teams. And it's always fun to watch. And it's funny that you mention how the Ravens are taking precautions to limit injuries. The Titans are also in a very similar situation 2 years in a row, the most injured team in the league. And you say they're going from turf to natural grass. Well, the Titans have gone from natural grass to turf to try and eliminate injuries. So I think that every team, GM, and owner in the league is just trying to scratch their heads and say, how can we eliminate these injuries? But one injured player that is coming back, and at least off the injury report, is Odell Beckham Jr. And a bit of a slow start in his first season in Baltimore. What do you expect, and really, do you expect much from Odell Beckham Jr. this weekend and throughout the rest of the season?
Well, I think your last question, Caroline, do you expect, is the key question.
Yeah.
Because right now, you talk about scratching our heads. We're scratching our heads about Odell Beckham. Mm-hmm. Great guy, great presence in the locker room. Kind of a mentor to some of the younger guys. But how much does he have left? I mean, you say he's off the injury report, and he is. You're absolutely right. He's scheduled to play on Sunday. But, I mean, if it's not one thing, it's another. And, it wasn't knee. He won the Super Bowl. He got hurt in the game, an ACL, out basically for the year, whatever. Now it's an ankle. Now it's the other ankle. There comes a time and there comes an age. And I'm not saying this is it for Odell. Who knows? Maybe he laces it up on Sunday and everything. He gets a magic elixir and off he goes to the races, and that would be great. But the evidence so far over the first 5 games of the season is that he's not going to be a consistent, reliable option for the Ravens for the rest of the year. And if I had to place a wager on it right now, which I'm not because I'm not a betting man, I would say that my opinion would be I just don't think you'll be able to count on him and get a lot from him the rest of the year.
So going into the season, and we're talking to Gary Stein with Monumental Sports and Entertainment, I thought this Ravens offense was going to be really, really good, but my questions lied on the defensive side. What I've seen from this defense, it seems like the defense has been outperforming the offense to this point. I want to ask you a specific question about Patrick Queen. Going into this year, they declined his fifth-year option, but that pairing there, an inside linebacker with him and Roquan Smith, have been quite impressive. What do you think the Ravens' stance are with Patrick Queen and how these two guys have really turned this defense into a very dynamic unit?
Yeah, it's a great point, and that is the key to the defensive unit, Willie. And it's not done by many other teams in the NFL. Most teams in the NFL, when it comes to linebacker play, will highlight the edge rushers, obviously, to create pressure on the quarterback. The Ravens have done it the other way. The Ravens have inverted that. They have built their defense out from their two middle linebackers, or I should say their two inside linebackers, Queen and Roquan Smith. Having said that, okay, and there is a lot of production there, I just don't see how they're going to be able to pay Patrick Queen what he's going to want to remain in Baltimore, because they gave the big contract to Roquan Smith. It's $100 million. Over half of it's guaranteed. It's a 5-year deal, so he's going to be at least locked up through that deal for the next couple of years. I just can't see them spending back-to-back big money on inside linebackers. So you asked the question, what's the stance on Patrick Queen? They're going to let it play out, and they're going to make him an offer at the end of the year, no doubt. But if I were Patrick Queen, I would test free agency, and I'm sure he's going to get a bigger deal somewhere else.
Last one here for you, Gary. The outside linebacker, Owe. I feel like I've been hearing a ton of things about his potential in being, the next really good Ravens edge rusher. He's been banged up all year long. What is the latest on him, and when do you think the Ravens can kind of get him back into the mix with this defense?
He's out for this game on Sunday. That was announced today. He may be out for a couple more weeks as well. And just as a sidelight to that, guys, Ojabo, the guy on the other end, those are their two big pass rushers, at least right now, Owe and Ojabo. Ojabo could be out for the year, so that's a big blow for the Ravens. They're trying to get Tyus Bowser back, who was their best pass rusher from a year ago. And he is off of the, what do they call it? I'm not the injured list, the injured reserve. So I don't think he's going to play this week either. So, and then getting back to Owe, yeah, I mean, it's funny. I mean, this was the guy that didn't have a sack his senior year at Penn State, by the way. But you definitely saw the potential. You definitely saw the power and the speed. He's just not lived up to it. He can't disengage. Maybe he's not big enough, maybe he's not quick enough, but if you watch the film, he just has trouble disengaging from the blocker, whether it be a running back coming up for the blitz if he takes a loop inside, or he just maintains that edge rush. So, again, he just hasn't lived up to it. Will he? The card's still out. I mean, he's going to, they're going to fulfill the contract. He signed up through next year. Does it take players a while sometimes? Yeah, I guess it does. Hoping that it happens for him, but you're right, it still hasn't.
Gary Stein is with us, Baltimore Ravens insider for Monumental Sports and Entertainment. So the Ravens are one of the best teams, best third down offenses in the league, fifth best third down offense in the NFL. That's one area that we've seen the Titans really struggle. 3rd and 5 and less, that's where the Titans thrive. 3rd 6+, that's where the Titans really kind of get in an iffy scenario. What do you think, in your opinion, makes the Ravens such a good third down offense?
The threat of Lamar running the football. I think that forces the defense to spy for the most part and takes away a player to defend. So on 3rd and 5 or, whatever, it doesn't really matter, 6, 5, 3. The threat of Lamar running is just an added playmaking hassle that the defense has to adjust to and account for. Having said that, I will counter that third down statistic with the Ravens second in the league in fumbles. You can convert all the third downs you want, guys, but if you're going to fumble that ball when you cross the 50 or get into the red zone like Kenyon Drake did against Indianapolis, it doesn't matter how many third downs you convert. So I think the Ravens need to protect the football. Full stop, bottom line. It's the number one problem on this team right now. Protect the ball.
Gary Stein is with us. And I'm looking at this matchup, the Ravens with one of the best running offenses in the league, because it's not just Lamar Jackson. I mean, it's Gus Edwards, it's Justice Hill, it's Melvin Gordon, so on and so forth. That it can pick your poison in the run game with the Baltimore Ravens. And really, for the most part, with the exception of last week against the Indianapolis Colts, the Titans are one of the best run defenses in the NFL with that stout front seven. Give me your opinion on this matchup and how key that's going to be for the Ravens to win that run offense versus Titans run defense matchup.
Yeah, I think it's the battle at the line of scrimmage is pretty much the key to every game, as long as you protect the ball. Protecting the ball is the number one thing. If you don't turn the ball over, you're and this is statistically proven, you have a 35% better chance of winning any game, any team, any opponent, any time. It doesn't matter if it's the Cardinals against the Eagles or whatever. You have a 35% better chance of winning the game if you protect the ball and don't turn it over. 0 turnovers. Having said that, games are won at the line of scrimmage. And again, I think the Ravens spreading teams out this year creates wider running lanes for the Ravens to exploit. The Ravens have very quick, athletic guards that can get out and pull. You'll see a lot of stunts on the line of scrimmage that the Ravens pull. They rarely push straight ahead. There's a lot of pulling and stunting as far as that O-line is concerned. To be quite honest, I'm not that familiar with the Titans defense, and I'm not sure what they do up front. You can probably tell me better than that. But that's the big thing for the Ravens, is the quickness of the guards and their ability to get out in space and block into that second level that's allowed the Raven runners, including Lamar Jackson. I think they may even lead the league in rushes of 10-plus yards, on a play. And that's the key right there. Quick, athletic guards that can pull.
I said that was my last question for you, Gary. But you know what? I wanted to kind of get into a big conversation with this Baltimore Ravens team. We've seen Lamar Jackson win the MVP in the 2019 season, but we've also seen him be 1-3 in the playoffs and come up short in certain big moments, and he hasn't played at the end of the year in the past 2 seasons. People are saying, is he elite quarterback? Is he not? Can he lead this Ravens team to a Super Bowl? What is your stance on what kind of quarterback and what tier Lamar Jackson is in?
These are great questions. Before I answer the question, I will say, if you look back, and I could be wrong on this, maybe I have it off by a year, I don't think Peyton Manning won a playoff game in his first 3 seasons, and it could even be more, because I know the first season or 2 they were awful, and then they got good. So it was a while before Peyton Manning was able to win a playoff game. He lost a couple memorable ones to Tom Brady, et cetera, et cetera. So, let's just have that in the background, number one. Now, getting back to Lamar, this is the single biggest criticism of Lamar. Great regular season quarterback when he's available and healthy, obviously exciting, one of the most exciting players in the league, but basically has pitched a shutout or has been pitched a shutout in playoffs. This is a bear a cross that he bears. He totally gets it. He owns up to it. He says, I got to do better. I got to be better. I can't be considered among the elite quarterbacks until I do it. Where do I stand on what tier he's in? I think there are 2 kinds of quarterbacks that you can win with in the NFL. You win because of quarterbacks, and you win with quarterbacks, okay? I'm not even talking about the teams that lose. They're not even in this conversation. I'm talking about winning teams. And I think Lamar is a quarterback that you can win because of, not that you win with. With is like a Brock Purdy, in my opinion, okay? A Jimmy Garoppolo. They're good quarterbacks, don't get me wrong. But you know what? It's the system, okay? In Baltimore, Lamar is the system, okay? Now, having said that, he's not a Brady. He's not a Mahomes. He's not a Manning. He's not a Rodgers. He's none of those guys. He's never done it like that before. So I would put him in the second tier of top quarterbacks in the NFL, not among the elite.
Gary Stein of Monumental Sports and Entertainment, appreciate your time. Cannot thank you enough. We'll chat with you soon. Enjoy the game on Sunday.
Love it, guys. Enjoy it. Best of luck.
All right. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that. I would probably agree with his evaluation of Lamar Jackson. I think it almost teeters on a quarterback that you win with and a quarterback that you win because of. But I lean because that entire offense is predicated on what Lamar Jackson can do. Really, that team is predicated on Lamar Jackson and his ability, and what defenses do is focused in on Lamar Jackson, the threat of his legs. Like Gary mentioned, the Baltimore Ravens are such a good third down offense because you're forcing the defense to dedicate one player to spy Lamar Jackson and to make sure that he doesn't make plays with his legs, and we've seen him do so many times. So I do lean toward Lamar Jackson's a quarterback that you win because that team is centered around Lamar Jackson.
I think that was one of the better answers that I have ever gotten of an assessment of Lamar Jackson. And you can hear Gary's passion for this Ravens team in his voice. I mean, he is energetic about this team. You can tell that he has a lot invested in the Ravens. That's what I got from that interview. And the fact of the matter is he's right. This team does win because of Lamar Jackson. But with that being said, they have also lost because of Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. I went to his playoff record, 1-3 in the playoffs. They lost to the Titans back in 2019. They had won 12 straight in the regular season, 14-2, unanimous MVP, number 1 seed, and they lost because Lamar turned the ball over, I believe, on 3, maybe 4 occasions in that game. You also look at the following year against the Titans. They won here at Nissan Stadium because of that big run in the game that completely changed. And then the following week when they played Josh Allen and the Bills to try and go to the AFC Championship, they lost that game because of that crucial pick 6 that he threw on the goal line that completely turned that game around. I believe the Ravens only put up 3 points in that game. So absolutely right. Lamar is super electric quarterback. Lamar is the reason this Ravens team wins. I mean, his record in the regular season is insane. Like, I believe it's like 40 some odd wins and like only 19 or 18 losses. Mm-hmm. But when he is off, this entire team is off, and this team goes with the way Lamar Jackson goes. So it's going to be really interesting to see which Lamar we see against this Titans team in London, because we've seen games where the Titans defense have had Lamar's number, and we have seen other games where Lamar has kind of broken through and carried this Ravens team to a victory over the Titans.
Our official Titans-Ravens predictions coming up next, plus Titans' keys to victory. We'll get into that coming up next. This week's Nashville's Best Deal is half off a $50 gift card for Big Play Hendersonville. They offer everything from bowling to laser tag, indoor go-karts, bumper cars, and arcade, fantastic food, and so much more. Right now, you can get half off a $50 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals and check out all that they offer.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The holidays are a time of celebration and Thanksgiving. It's a time to host friends and family in your home to enjoy good food and good times. The last thing you need is an unexpected issue. If you're planning a gathering this season, take a few minutes to bring out the home experts from Lee Company. For heating, plumbing, electrical, and all your home improvement needs, Lee Company has you covered. Visit LeeCompany.com today and schedule your first appointment online. Lee Company, all you need.
Your chance to get that rare, hard-to-find luxury pre-owned Rolex timepiece is happening at Genesis Diamonds. Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st, Genesis is hosting an epic pre-owned luxury Rolex event featuring a stunning new selection of these hard-to-find watches. Hulks, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsis, Batmans, all the hottest models that people wait years for. For this event, you can choose from 5 years financing or get a free pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond earrings valued at $5,000. Imagine a luxury pre-owned ladies Rolex Datejust for just $199 $299 a month, or a Sea Dweller or Submariner for just $299 a month. No waiting list, no games, just the watch you want at the great Genesis value price you deserve. Also for this event, our pre-owned Rolex buyers will be offering top dollar for your Rolex, so you can buy, sell, or trade. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state. Get the timepiece of your dreams and take advantage of our special financing Friday and Saturday, October 20th and 21st only, and only at Genesis Diamonds, your home for luxury pre-owned Rolex. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit while supplies last. See store for details.
Penalty Box Radio Live is back. Join Alex Doherty and Sean Smith every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. for a full hour of local hockey talk, full analysis of the Nashville Predators. Honest hockey talk like you've come to expect from the Penalty Box Radio brand over the years. Penalty Box Radio is back home on 102.5 The Game for the 2023-2024 hockey season. For more, check them out at penaltyboxradio.com.
Come try Calabria Brick Oven Pizzeria. Their pizza is cooked to perfection, but that's not all they're known for. Try one of their delicious appetizers, salads, fresh calzones, and they have a full bar and dessert. Calabria has been a Mount Juliet staple for 7 years now and has a new location in the heart of Goodlettsville off Long Hollow Pike. Come join the family at Calabria. After all, life's too short to eat bad pizza.
We gather together in communities across the nation to remember and honor, to celebrate and support, to light the night. We are LLS, and when we walk, cancer runs. Find your local event at lightthenight.org.
102.5 The Game is proud to support our advertising partner, Pella Window and Doors of Nashville, on their charitable efforts for breast cancer in action. Tune in Monday for the Chase and Big Joe Show, along with Jared Stillman, live at the Pella Windows and Doors Customer Appreciation Golf Tournament.
Exergen thermometers are proven to be more accurate than non-contact thermometers. With children back at school, keeping them healthy is important. Clinical studies have proven that non-contact thermometers are inaccurate and can miss fevers. Accuracy matters. That's why the Exergen thermometer is trusted and used by medical professionals. Exergen thermometers are available at Walgreens and other participating retailers. Choose a trusted and accurate thermometer for personal use. Learn more about why accuracy matters at Exergen.com.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and Georgia from First Bank Stadium. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Coverage starts at 9:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Smashville, this is Sean Henry. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. They join Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and D-Mase at Teddy's Tavern, located across from the Bridgestone Arena Plaza this Sunday from 11:30 to 1:30 as they break down the Titans-Ravens game. Our award-winning NFL pregame show, which is a postgame show this week, is presented by Apartment Tractor and Equipment and the Beast Unleashed. Junie Riddle in for Willy Donick and for D-Mase today. We've got a football game, and we've got a football game in London coming up on Sunday. So let's get into our 3 keys of the game. Now, Mike Vrabel did not participate in the Mike Vrabel show this week, playing a little bit of hooky with the London game. So I came up with my 3 keys. Junie, you have your keys as well. I will start with my first key for a Titans victory, and that is first and foremost, stop the run, which might be a lot easier said than done. Because that Baltimore Ravens run offense is something special. It's the 4th best run offense in the NFL. You've got Lamar Jackson. You've got Gus Edwards. Just the threat overall of a more mobile quarterback makes it feel a little bit different than just, stopping Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor, which you didn't do a very good job of last week. So at least limiting what the Ravens do in the run game. I mean, he gave up 193 rushing yards to the Colts, 165 of those against Zach Moss. Like, we're not talking about Le'Veon Bell here, as much as Jeffrey Simmons wants to call him Le'Veon Bell. That's just simply not good enough.
They made him look like it.
And that is a problem, because your defense made Zach Moss look like Le'Veon Bell. And I'll credit the world Zach Moss, because he was playing his freaking butt off.
He sure was.
And he has been all season when he's been stepping in for Jonathan Taylor. But still, he's not 165 rushing yards good. And you made him look like that. So it's simply not good enough. It's going to be more difficult now that Tear Tart is a question mark. And now TD updated everyone with some injury reports. Tear Tart is now listed as questionable on Sunday. He was limited in practice yesterday. So even if T.R. Tart does play, you're not getting 100% T.R. Tart. I needed to see more from Jeffrey Simmons last week, Azeez Al-Shaair last week. I've needed to see more from that defensive line. So this is now the opportunity, and you're doing it up against a stout run offense in the Baltimore Ravens. So at least limit what the Ravens want to do on the ground. And also, how do you do that? You know, what does that look like? Why is that such a challenge? Coach Mack was in for Mike Vrabel on the Mike Vrabel Show. This is what he had to say about stopping the Baltimore run offense.
You're going to have to plus one it with mobile quarterbacks, and if you plus one it, everybody's got to be gap solid. You hear Mike Vrabel talk all the time about setting an edge and building a wall. When you're playing plus one, somebody's responsible for the quarterback on scheduled runs, which this guy's going to do. So what we have to be able to do, Mike, we have to be able to play gap sound defense across that wall. No cracks in the wall against this guy.
Why is Jackson such a great runner?
Well, because he's got speed, and also he's got some moves to him. He's got some wiggle, and he can eat up stripes really, really quick. And he's very, very instinctive as far as especially on those option plays, reading where he should go.
He's big, he's fast, he's instinctive. I mean, Lamar Jackson is tough to stop. And Coach Mack there said, plus one, essentially adding a spy onto the quarterback. So this Titans defensive front is going to be down one, essentially, from that brick wall, because you're going to have one guy dedicated solely to Lamar Jackson and trying to keep him in the pocket as much as you possibly can. It's a tough test, but it is, I think, the most paramount and important aspect for the Titans defense on Sunday. Thoughts?
No, I mean, I really like it. One of my keys was going to be stopping the run as well. They're going up against another good offensive line, and I cannot stress this enough. Like, Ronnie Stanley is an absolute all-pro when he's healthy. Morgan Moses did not play last week against the Steelers. He will be back as well. And this young center they have, Tyler Linderbaum, I mean, he is an absolute stud for the Ravens. So, not getting blown off the ball like they did against the Indianapolis Colts, because for me it wasn't as much as Zach Moss as it was the holes that Zach Moss was getting. So I love what Coach Mack said there. Keep your gap contained. Don't leave easy holes for these two guys to get into. So I think that is absolutely pivotal against this Ravens team, because if you don't, they will burn you.
They will run down your throats. My second key to the game for the Titans this weekend, red zone offense. It has been so frustrating watching this team in the red zone, really all season, but more specifically away from Nissan Stadium. You were 1 for 4 last week in the red zone against Indianapolis. You get in the end zone just one more time, and that's a completely different ball game. And that comes down to a few different aspects. One, that comes down to Tim Kelly and play calling in the red zone. I didn't necessarily have, any issue, especially with that one trip to the red zone where the Titans didn't convert. It was the 3rd and 6 Tajay Spears run where he got absolutely blown up, and then the 4th and 1 Derrick Henry run where nobody was blocking for him, and he just ran right into a brick wall. So part of that does fall on Tim Kelly and play calling in the red zone. Part of that is eliminating those pre-snap penalties in the red zone. That if you are, let's say 3rd and 3 at the Baltimore 4, well, a false start backs you up into the Baltimore 9. And now it's, 3rd and goal at the 9. Well, I don't really feel great about that. So eliminating those penalties, don't shoot yourself in the foot. It also falls on Tannehill making the right reads, and it falls on the offensive line blocking. Because if you're in the red zone, you're probably leaning a lot on Tajay Spears and on Derrick Henry. This offensive line needs to block for the run game. They struggled with that last week. Just one touchdown away from Nissan Stadium simply is not good enough. This offense needs to get into the end zone.
No, 100% agree. And again, I don't know if it was last year or the year prior, but the Titans had one of the best red zone percentages. It was just that they weren't getting to the red zone a lot. Mm-hmm. It's funny how that has kind of flipped on this team. And it's like, oh wow, they can move the ball downfield for the most part this year outside of the Cleveland game, but they can't finish once they get there. So they really do need to work on that. They had a couple opportunities against Indianapolis. There was one play where Tannehill was strictly looking to the right side of the field, and he had DeAndre Hopkins on kind of like a a 10-yard out route, and he could have had him in the corner of the end zone. We all bring up the underthrown ball to Nick Westbrook-Akine. When the opportunities are there, they have to seize it, and they have to capitalize on them. Take the opportunities. And look, you don't need to put up 35 points a game to beat the Baltimore Ravens. Oh, no, not in this game. Not in this game. Not with these defenses. And, Baltimore is just under the average of average points per game. They're averaging about 22 points per game. Like, that's an area where the Titans, that I can work with. When the Titans are playing their best this year, they're putting up 24, 27 points a game. And again, if you play your best game that we have seen you play at Nissan Stadium, we have yet to see it outside of Nashville. Mm-hmm. But if we can have one of those performances, I think you're going to be in a good spot. Right. I mean, Baltimore averaging 22, you're averaging 17 and a half. It's just simply not good enough. You cannot settle for 3. You need to get 7. That's something that Ryan Tannehill really harped on in his media availability earlier this week. Was everybody wanted to talk about the connection between he and D-Hop, and he said, well, yeah, it's great, but I'd love to find him in the end zone. I mean, being effective and efficient between the 20s is great and all, but until you get 7 to show for it, I don't really want to hear about the effectiveness and the efficiency. So red zone offense is going to be key. And that kind of goes along with my third key to the game for the Tennessee Titans, and that's staying on schedule. Because to capitalize in the red zone, you got to get to the red zone. So we know that this team can get it done 3rd and 5 or less. We know that this team cannot live in 3rd and 12 and 3rd and 15. And it's the same thing. It falls on Tim Kelly. It falls on eliminating those pre-snap penalties. It falls on the offensive line creating holes for Tajay Spears and Derrick Henry. This offense is at its best when it's 3rd and manageable. 3rd 2, 3rd 3, 3rd 4, even 3rd 5. That's when it's at its best. Stay in those spaces. You're 24th in the league in 3rd down conversions. Again, simply not good enough. A reason why you're so low is because you can get yourself into 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12. Dumb penalties might back you up. And this isn't an offense that's equipped to get out of 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13 on a consistent basis. Stay on schedules. Be effective and efficient on 1st and 2nd downs. No, I definitely like that. So with my 3 takeaways in this game, one of which we had the same, which was stopping the run game. I think that's number 1. It has to be number 1 because this Ravens offense moves through the run. If the Titans are going to want to win this game, and again, I think schematically they wanted to do something similar with Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. Simply, maybe it was the switch to Gardner Minshew and they didn't make the correct adjustments, but they have got to play their best game against Lamar Jackson like we have seen in the past. Even in the playoff game where Lamar got the best of them, they still, really kind of limited what he could do. It was just that big running play in the 4th quarter that changed that ball game and turned it on its head. But other than that, the Titans do play Lamar Jackson really well. They're just going to have to continue to do that in the run game. So the best way to do this, something that I've noticed, I've watched Lamar his entire career at Louisville when he got into the NFL. It seems to me he plays better against 4-3 defenses, and the Titans run the 3-4 with the outside linebacker edge rushers, those quick, more finesse kind of guys. We brought this up earlier. Harold Landry and Arden Key have got to show up in this game. They have not stepped up against the big boy matchups. This is a big boy matchup against those tackles that I was just talking about. Ronnie Stanley, Morgan Moses coming off of his injury. They have got to capitalize and win their matchups. Lamar Jackson does not like it when guys are racing around the edge, containing him, making him step up in the pocket. He wants to get out. He wants to run around, get to the outside, extend the play, let his receivers outlast the coverage, because we know in the NFL 2, 3, 4 seconds, that's about all it takes for guys to bust open free. So in order to limit that, with these DBs, it's more like 2. Yeah, it is more like 2. So we have got to see the best version of Arden Key and Harold Landry in this matchup, and something that this show, you in particular, have been talking about for the last week or so. This is very, very important in this matchup, and I will explain exactly why. Give Derrick Henry the ball.
Let the big dog eat. Thank you.
Derrick Henry is a volume back. When he is only getting 15 carries a game, I'm sorry, he's just not going to get going with that. You have got to continuously feed him. And this is why this is such an X factor in this game. And it's not necessarily because the run game is what is going to win the game for the Titans. I will tell you why. Ryan Tannehill is a different quarterback when throwing over the middle. He is very good and one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the NFL throwing over the middle of the field. Outside the numbers, not so hot, okay? So we need to play to Ryan Tannehill's strengths. If we keep giving Derrick Henry the ball, establish the run, establish the play action, this is not a good matchup for Ryan Tannehill, just dropping back and looking over the middle. Those two linebackers I mentioned when we were talking to Gary earlier, we're talking about Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen. These guys are very versatile, probably the best 1-2 interior linebacker tandem in the NFL.
And Patrick Queen has that very unique ability of being massive and quick and twitchy.
Yes, and I think Roquan Smith is the best off-ball linebacker in all of the NFL.
Interesting.
So, in my opinion, I think the only way to get them going, and this is what Pittsburgh did last week, they didn't get anything going offensively until they established the run in the fourth quarter. If you establish the run and you make these two linebackers respect you, that will open up pockets in the middle of the field for Ryan Tannehill to do what he does best in hitting guys on crossing routes over the middle of the field. That is going to be the key to the game. Feed Derrick Henry, lure those linebackers in, make them question on what you're doing, and establishing the play action and hitting guys over the middle of the field will be the difference in their game. If they can do that, I like the Titans' chances in this matchup.
And this isn't going to be a matchup where Derrick Henry is going to be able to consistently pick up 5 or 6 yards of crack. This is going to be, I think, one of those ugly run games where it's Derrick Henry gain of 2, Derrick Henry gain of 3, Derrick Henry loss of 1. But with those comes a Derrick Henry gain of 6, Derrick Henry gain of 8, Derrick Henry gain of 27. I think you're just going to have to be consistent and patient in the run game. Because just like we said, there's going to be a dedicated Titans defender just spying Lamar Jackson. Like, this Baltimore defensive front knows that they have to look out for 22. And it's not going to be easy and pretty on every single Derrick Henry carry. But like you said, he's a volume back. The Titans have won 2 games this season. In each of those 2 games, Derrick Henry has carried the ball 22-plus times. 22 against the Bengals, 25 against the Chargers. Just keep feeding Derrick Henry. And now I don't want that to be misinterpreted as feed Derrick Henry and ignore Tajay Spears and keep him on the sideline. You can use both of them. And I think you should use both of them. I think this offense is at its best when both of them are on the field. But Derrick Henry needs to be getting an overwhelming majority of the work because he's Derrick freaking Henry. So our keys to the game: feed Derrick Henry, stop the run, red zone offense. I don't care how you do it. I don't care how you get in. I don't care how ugly the process looks. Get in the freaking end zone and do it away from Nissan Stadium, please. And stay on schedule, effective and efficient on first and second down. Let's get into our official score predictions coming up next as we take it to the bank. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
He knows Nashville sports.
And you've got Mike Vrabel in what feels like sort of a back against the wall game. They're at their best.
And he's not scared to tell it like it is.
They need to go on the road and win a game.
He is Outkick's Chad Withrow.
16 5-star players and 52 4-star players.
Withrow joins Stillman and Company every Friday at 5. Brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
They still have all of the talent.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention all fire protection, commercial plumbing, and HVAC experts. Jarrett Companies are looking for experienced field technicians like you. Tired of working for your large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett's Fire Protection, commercial plumbing, and HVAC divisions are owned and operated by Nashville natives who want you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we'll also provide you with top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and our business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to JarrettCompaniesInc.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT CompaniesInc.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Are you ready for the ultimate entertainment experience? Look no further than Big Play Hendersonville. Get ready to embark on an adventure like no other. Whether you're a kid or a kid at heart, Big Play Hendersonville has something for everyone. And right now, you can get half off a $50 gift card to check out all they have to offer, from bowling to laser tag, indoor go-karts, bumper cars, and more. They offer fantastic food options as well. Big Play isn't just a place, it's an experience. Get half off now at the game Nashville.com/deals.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards, or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here with More Great Homes. Located just west of Nashville in a tranquil setting of Kingston Springs Ranchettes neighborhood, 1617 Wildlife Trail offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a 2-car garage, and a 1-year builder warranty, all for under $450,000. Contact my team today at tjandersonhomes.com for more info. Want your home listing to be seen and heard by home buyers? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
Hey, are you seeking relief? Maybe you just want to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? Yeah, really. You can have legal THC products shipped directly to the comfort of your home. Yes, Comfort and Cannabis is only a website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. That's Green Trees with a Z, and change your life today.
Sometimes it's good to be loud.
This is the NFL.
Especially when you're Jared Stillman.
That's where we are.
He's not afraid to say what's on his mind each and every day.
That was embarrassing. I don't care if you're a rookie. That was embarrassing.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase.
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Here comes the money.
And you can take that to the bank.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
It is now time to take it to the bank with F&M Bank. F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. Hey, business is complicated, but banking does not have to be. F&M Bank. Visit one of their 20 locations throughout Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky, or online at myfmbank.com. All right, before we take it to the bank for this week, let's recap last week. Commissioner Nick Frazier, how did we do last week?
Well, Caroline, you were pretty close. Let's just put it there. You were pretty close. Luther Burden.
Close, but not quite there.
Yeah, he did get over 100 yards receiving.
Yeah, like 160, didn't he?
It was like, if I look correct, it was like 161 or something like that. Yeah.
No touchdowns.
No TDs.
Hey, and your LSU Tigers pulled it off. How about that?
Yes, they did. I hedged my happiness a little bit there, and I was 50% right.
Yeah, you got to sometimes. As for Willy, I feel bad if Chase is listening right now because last week Willy said on the show, Chase, I hope you're not listening. He picked the Braves to win the series versus the Phillies.
Oh, Willy!
And not just 5 games, he picked 4 games.
No! Willy!
By the way, I was with Chase McCabe last night when he was watching the Braves lose. He was running the pre- and post-game show for the Preds. His face trying to hold it together while he was on air, it was magnificent. It was magnificent to watch.
My favorite thing today is hearing all the Braves fans complain about the wild card structure.
Are you talking about somebody specifically?
Somebody, yeah. I have so many whiny Braves fans of, I don't like the wild card. Well, too bad.
There's too many times off. They should play the wild card games earlier.
Maybe it's not the playoff structure's fault.
Hey,
Maybe you should beat the Phillies.
Only the time will tell, right? Next year, maybe the season's better for them. You never know. Just only time will tell.
Only time will tell.
As
Poor
for
Willy.
D-Mase, last week D-Mase picked Texas to win by 10 or more points. That did not happen. C.J. Stroud in the NFL to throw 250 yards passing with 3 or more contributing touchdowns. Only 1 touchdown and 249 yards passing.
That's the second time that's happened to D-Mase.
Yeah, 1 yard off.
1 yard off.
I double-checked. I refreshed the page. Like, yeah, 249. It's crazy.
When did that happen last?
It was, I think, Vandy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was Vandy.
I was like, poor D-Mace, man.
Second time, only 1 yard off.
Hey, but he's killing it in silly underdogs.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
As for myself, I went with D-Mace and picked Texas to win. Quentin Ewers to get 290 passing and 3 total touchdowns. I think we all know how that all transpired. Not too great.
Didn't look so hot.
And then I picked in the NFL D-Hop to get his first touchdown. I went down with Willy. Did not happen. So, Caroline, you were the closest to winning it all last week. Go ahead. You go first.
All right, I have a couple, but I'll start with one, and then we'll loop back around. I'll start in college football. Tennessee, Texas A&M this weekend. Now, Joe Milton has yet to eclipse the 300 yards passing mark. Texas A&M has, I think, one of the best, if not the best, defensive lines in the SEC, maybe even the best in college football. But their secondary is stinky. Their secondary is bad. So I think that this is the game that Joe Milton gets 300-plus passing yards.
Ooh.
Take it to the bank. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
All
Off
right.
the bye in Neyland Stadium.
So you're confident.
Yeah. Well, I still think Texas A&M wins.
Really?
Yeah.
You think Milton has that great of a game and they still lose?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
I love Texas A&M. I think that was a game that was so incredibly winnable for them last week that if Jimbo Fisher decides to not punt and go for it on 4th and 1 when the game is tied and you're in Alabama territory, like Texas A&M could have scored there and that's the game. And if they win that game, and it was less of a touchdown difference, if they win that game, this is a much different conversation about this Texas A&M team. I think they're going to be pissed off. Josh Heupel plays really well off the bye. I know we only have a 2-year sample size, but in 2021, he beat 18th ranked Kentucky off the bye, and last year they blew LSU out like 150-0 off the bye. Josh Heupel plays well off the bye, and I think he's going to be creative in the passing game, knowing how good this Texas A&M front is and how they really don't let teams run on them. But I, as long as Max Johnson doesn't turn the ball over, I think Texas A&M wins it by a narrow margin.
Okay, and as for Willy, he waved the white flag this week. D-Mace has Ryan Tannehill and Lamar Jackson to combine for 3 turnovers. That I misread to you earlier. Yes, combine for 3 turnovers. As for myself, Oregon to win. Bucky Irving, 70 yards receiving and a touchdown this week. That's what I'm hoping for. As for the NFL, the London broadcast, 4 or more references to some sort of London-esque slang, I guess.
Crumpets.
Yeah, something like tea.
Yeah, totally.
Junie, I'm going to leave the floor to you, man.
Alrighty, I'm going to go with 3 of these. Let me get USC plus 2.5 on the road at Notre Dame. I watched Notre Dame go up against my Louisville Cardinals. Was not impressed. I just don't think that Sam Hartman and company can keep up with Caleb Williams in that offense.
They keep getting worse. Every week, Notre Dame gets worse.
Yeah, no, and they're not built for the long haul. I knew what Sam Hartman was. Louisville owns him. We own him. 10 turnovers, 2 games. They're not that good. I'm going to go ahead and go with this Titans-Ravens game. I like the +4 with the Titans. I'm 0-5 in Titans picks. Listen, everything is telling me that the Titans should lose this game and that the Ravens have a very big advantage. But every time I've gone with what makes sense, the opposite happens. So I'm going Titans +4. I think they keep it close. Old rivalry game. And then my lock of the week, and I want my cha-ching after this one. Give me the over in Seahawks-Bengals, over 45.5. I think that over-under is way too low. I think it's going to be a shootout. Both of these secondaries are not super elite, and if Joe Burrow's playing like he did against Arizona, I can see this game getting into the 30s, high 20s.
I'm going to take the Ravens 24-16, taking the under. That's going to do it for us today. We will be back Monday with a full Titans-Ravens breakdown. Stillman and Company is up next.